Chapter 3487. But the lady's body had just fallen into the young man's arms. The young man took a step forward and walked towards Yi Qing Luo. The woman immediately staggered and fell heavily to the ground. She was in so much pain that her features were twisted as she stared maliciously at Yi Qing Luo, baring her fangs and brandishing her claws. "You little slut! How dare you seduce brother Yin Yan?" Her words weren't completed. A gaze that was as cold as a sharp blade fell on her body. The lady was so shocked that she trembled as her throat seemed to be blocked by something. She couldn't say a single word. The young man's gaze was simply too shocking. The lady had never seen such an expression on brother Yin Yan's face. But now, brother Yin Yan was standing up for that little beggar? Thinking of this, the lady's face turned pale as she called out softly with a trembling voice, "Brother Yin Yan, eldest young Master Chow, you're here. Why didn't you inform us in advance?" Eldest Master put on a flattering smile as he walked towards the silver-haired young man. But Chow Yin Yan didn't bother about Eldest Master as he walked straight towards Yi Qing Luo and stood still. There was only a step's distance between the two of them. Yi Qing Luo raised her head and met the young man's eyes. The glower flame fan in her hand slightly tightened as she waited vigilantly for the young man's next move. For pairs of eyes met and both of them were calm. However, there was a sense of mutual hostility. The crowd didn't know why, but when they saw this scene, they felt an indescribable pressure pressing down on them. Eldest young Master Chow seems to know that young lady? When Chow Yin Yan appeared, numerous citizens were stirred up. As compared to the small scuffle with Yi Qing Luo, it was much livelier. The citizens couldn't help but started to discuss. "Don't you feel that young lady doesn't look like an ordinary beggar?" Standing together with eldest young Master Chow, she wasn't suppressed by his imposing manner at all. Not only not suppressed, there's a kind of evenly matched imposing manner with eldest young Master Chow. Who on earth is that young lady? Ah, the sounds of discussion entered the ears of the disheveled and desolate lady who had fallen onto the ground. The lady's twisted expression became even more terrifying. She clenched her fists tightly and glared at the gossiping citizens. "What nonsense are you talking about? Big Brother Yin Yan is about to break through the divine profound realm and become a god. How can you compare yourself to a beggar? Brother Yin Yan doesn't know that slut. Even a little beggar wants to climb up the social ladder," the woman shouted angrily. However, the two people who were being discussed by the crowd remained silent. Yi Qing Luo had heard what third miss you said. When his gaze slid to the face of the silver-haired youth in front of him, his heart couldn't help but tremble. This young man was at most 18 years old. He's actually someone who's about to break through to the spirit Xian realm? Wasn't this world a little too terrifying? One had to know, after breaking through the sky profound realm, one would enter the sage profound realm of the myth realm. After Xian Xian, unlike the sky profound realm, there were only 9 ranks between each profound rank. After reaching the profound sage realm, if one wanted to break through, they would have to raise their cultivation by 15 levels. In other words, this silver-haired youth was already a 15th-stage sage profound realm super expert. Yi Qing Luo kept her glower flame fan. If Chow Yin Yan really wanted to make a move on her. Chapter 3488. Chow Yin Yan's eyes moved slightly, apparently noticing Yi Qing Luo's action. He curled his lips and stared straight at Yi Qing Luo, as if trying to see her original appearance through the mud and dirt on her face. This smile made that handsome face even more stunning. "I'm Chow Yin Yan, what about you?" He opened his mouth. His voice was very low, without any extra emotions. Yi Qing Luo just looked at him and didn't speak. Chow Yin Yan didn't ask further, but looked at the entrance of the exchange hall. "Do you need me to accompany you into the exchange hall?" Yi Qing Luo pursed her lips and raised her eyebrows. still not answering Qiao Yinyan. Her half-squinted eyes were suffused with a very shallow, very faint, unreal chill. This scene caused the surrounding crowd to be astonished. What shocked them was not only Yi Qing Luo's attitude towards Qiao Yinyan, but also Qiao Yinyan's attitude towards Yi Qing Luo. Who was Qiao Yinyan? The first family in Without Embroiling City, the young master of the Qiao family, the future head of the Qiao family, the youngest cultivator who was about to enter the spirit mystic realm in Without Embroiling City. A 15th grade cultivator. He was handsome. His family background was heaven-defying. His strength was also outstanding. He was a perfect man who had all the advantages in the world. He was the dream lover of countless girls in Without Embroiling City, and even the entire Earth boundary, no matter how reserved the girl was. After seeing Qiao Yinyan, they would cry and beg to marry him. But Qiao Yinyan's character was cold, and he had never been close to any members of the opposite sex. Not to mention the opposite sex. He didn't even have many friends of the same sex. But now Qiao Yinyan was taking the initiative to a girl who looked like a beggar. Did they see wrongly? Or were they dreaming? They simply couldn't believe what they were seeing and hearing. But all of this was really happening in front of their eyes. It was Qiao Yinyan who took the initiative to ask for the girl's name, taking the initiative to be friendly, mainly to invite the girl to enter the exchange hall with him. Qiao Yinyan's attitude also represented that girl's status in Without Embroiling City. The onlookers were shocked. The chief master was also stunned. First master's reaction was swift, and on seeing Qiao Yinyan's attitude, he immediately revealed a flattering smile, as though the conflict between him and Yi Qing Luo had never happened at all. Young Master Qiao, young lady, this way please. I've already asked the servant girls to prepare the best tea. If the two of you want to learn anything from the exchange hall, I'll do my best to satisfy you. The first head's words caused third young Miss Yu Jiwen, who was standing to the side and being helped up by the maidservants, to change her expression. Her bloodshot eyes stared fiercely at Yi Qing Luo. He clenched his fists tightly in his sleeves. He wanted to vent his anger and pull that little slut away from his big brother Yinyan. However, when Yu Jiwen thought of the way brother Yinyan looked at her just now, his heart was filled with fear. She could only watch helplessly. She looked at this Qiao Yinyan, who in her memories had always been cold and aloof. Even though he had always been courteous to people and things, he had always carried a faint feeling of alienation. It was as if no one could get close to him, but in front of this little slut. But his smile was so bright and stunning. This wasn't her big brother Yinyan. Her big brother Yinyan shouldn't be like this. Chapter 3489. The young lady's words were extremely arrogant. Not only did she give the first master a tight slap, she even gave Qiao Yinyan a tight slap. The surroundings of the trading house fell into a strange silence. Yu Jiwen was so angry that she was trembling. Her face was twisted and her eyes were filled with hostility. That little slut had the cheek to reject brother Yinyan's help. Who did she think she was? But Qiao Yinyan, who was standing in front of the young lady, didn't look angry at Yi Qing Luo's rejection. Instead, he chuckled softly. That laughter made the first master tremble. His cold sweat soaked his robe. He clenched his fists and tried hard to make his voice sound more humble. Miss, this is just a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. I have eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai and offended you. Please give me a chance to redeem myself. Saying that, the first master cupped his hands and bowed towards Yi Qing Luo. This action, to be honest, was indeed giving Yi Qing Luo a great deal of respect. After all, Zhongcheng Trading House was the #1 trading house in Without Embroiling City. In addition, Princess Yu Lu was the spokesperson of Zhongcheng Trading House. The guests that came and went were naturally very respectful towards the first master. Looking at the entire Without Embroiling City, to be able to make the first master of Zhongcheng Trading House to flatter and bow down to apologize One could count it with one hand. But now he was bowing down to a little girl and apologizing to her in a humble manner. Although this was because of young Master Chiao, but everyone still felt that it was inconceivable. Yu Jiwen was about to die from anger. Her eyes were red as she tried hard to hold back her tears. She stared at Yi Qing Luo fiercely and looked at Xiao Yinyan in a daze. Seeing that Xiao Yinyan's line of sight was still on Yi Qing Luo, she clenched her fists and turned to leave. Just as she turned her head, she heard the young lady's mocking voice behind her. Misunderstanding? I don't think there's any misunderstanding between us. First Master's apology. A young lady like me can't afford it, and I don't want it. The moment these words came out, it made Yu Jiwen's footsteps paused. Even the sound of breathing in the surroundings became narrow-minded. What the hell? Did they hear wrongly? That little girl actually didn't accept the first Master's apology? He even mocked her time and time again? Even if he was spoiled, there should be a limit, right? In the silence, Yu Jiwen's eyes were bloodshot and her face was twisted. She was about to speak. Miss, you are very self-aware. Indeed, you cannot afford the apology of the head of the sincerity trading firm. Right at this moment, a clear and pleasant voice sounded from outside the crowd. It broke the strange silence at this moment. That voice was imposing without being angry. It carried with it an enormous dignity that could shake one's heart. Upon hearing this sound, Yu Jiwen's eyes lit up as she looked in the direction of the voice. The great master, who was also looking over in shock, couldn't help but smile. Then, not far away, under the noisy crowd of the citizens, a bright white carriage was slowly approaching. Just as the carriage was about to enter the trading hall, a small white hand lifted the curtain of the carriage. A slender figure walked out of the carriage. The woman was dressed in white. Her hair was coiled up with a few jade hairpins. From her dressing, one could tell that the woman's status was noble. Her delicate face was covered by a white veil, revealing only a pair of beautiful eyes with a threatening aura, even though the veil covered half of her face. Chapter 3490. Sister Yu Lu. When Yu Jiwen saw the woman, she rushed forward ecstatically. But before he could get close, he was stopped by the maid standing beside the woman. The woman glanced at Yu Jiwen. Yu Jiwen's face turned pale. She stopped in her tracks and took a few steps back. She didn't dare to move closer to the woman. That lady slowly walked towards Xiao Yinyan and Yi Qing Luo. Her steps were graceful and graceful. His every movement was filled with arrogance. As the woman walked over, she arrogantly said, "It's good to know your own limits. At least you won't die so painfully." When Xiao Yinyan saw the woman, the smile on his handsome face froze as he said, "Princess Yu Lu." Big brother. When the woman met Xiao Yinyan's gaze, her arrogance faded a little and she smiled. "You and I are family. Big brother, just call me second sister like before." While speaking, the lady's vision was still faintly sweeping past Yi Qing Luo. Yi Qing Luo frowned slightly. From the moment this woman appeared, Yi Qing Luo had an extremely uncomfortable feeling. It was as if there was something in the depths of the woman's soul that made her extremely disgusted. But Yi Qing Luo couldn't tell what kind of feeling that was. From the conversation between the woman and Xiao Yinyan, this woman was the name she had heard the most in less than 2 hours since she arrived in the Earth domain, Princess Yu Lu, who was known as the Empyrean Fairy of Without Embroiling City. Who would have thought that Princess Yu Lu was Xiao Yinyan's second sister? In other words, this Princess Yu Lu was the second daughter of the Qiao family, Qiao Yulu. Very curious, why would she have such an uncomfortable feeling towards Qiao Yulu? Today is different from the past. Princess is now Without Embroiling City's mysterious maiden. The rules cannot be broken. Xiao Yinyan responded to Qiao Yulu's voice, interrupting Yi Qing Luo's deep thoughts. Qiao Yulu didn't force Xiao Yinyan to call her second sister anymore. She only stared at Yi Qing Luo. His eyes flickered with a probing look. Although this young girl looked to be in a sorry state and her face was stained with a lot of mud, she was still able to maintain her composure. But those eyes were extremely captivating. It was clear and moist, but there was a hint of flirtatious charm to it. In particular, the corners of his eyes curled upwards, giving off a hint of devilish charm. For some unknown reason, Qiao Yilu always had an intuition. If the girl's mud-covered face was washed clean, she would definitely be killed. That girl would definitely reveal a breathtakingly beautiful face. A murderous look flashed across Qiao Yilu's eyes at the thought of this. Then, she looked at Qiao Yinyan with a faint smile. Who is this girl to Big Brother? Big Sister Yilu. Big Brother Yinyan doesn't know that little slut at all. It was that little slut who insisted on pestering Big Brother Yinyan. She even relied on Big Brother Yinyan's power to cause trouble in the trading house. Yu Jiyu. Yu Jiwen seemed to have found her backbone. She had someone to support her. Before Qiao Yinyan could reply, he rushed to answer. Yu Ji. Ji. Yu. I yu Ji. Yu. You. You Lu. Yu Ji you. What? Chapter 30, 491. Her voice paused slightly. Qiao Yilu continued. What kind of person should linger in that kind of place? But her words were also stuck in her throat, because she took the initiative to hold Qiao Yinyan's hand. But Qiao Yinyan avoided it. In front of all the citizens, he didn't give her any face at all. Just like that, he avoided her hand directly and took a step back. Qiao Yinyan looked at the startled Qiao Yilu and said indifferently, although we are brother and sister, there is a difference between men and women. Moreover, you are without embroiling cities, Miss Mysterious. Your status is noble. Big Brother. Qiao Yilu's face darkened slightly. A trace of displeasure flashed past her arrogant eyes. Qiao Yinyan's words sounded nice, as if he was flattering her status. But Qiao Yilu understood very well. Her big brother was not willing to have too much contact with her. Since young, her relationship with her big brother wasn't too good. But fortunately, the two of them had different goals, and there was no mutual competition. So they maintained the surface brother-sister relationship until now. Qiao Yinyan obviously had no intention to continue talking to Qiao Yilu. Yi Qing Luo looked at Qiao Yilu, and then at the head who was sweating profusely. She pursed her lips and didn't say a word, turned around and walked directly towards the direction of the crowd. Yi Qing Luo moved. Everyone's eyes shifted to her. They didn't expect that Yi Qing Luo would leave just like that. Yi Qing Luo's action also made Qiao Yilu inexplicably agitated. She didn't know why, but she always felt that this battered and exhausted girl would become her nemesis. It hadn't been easy for her to return to without embroiling city from the Linglong Palace, after countless hardships, with the highest honor in the Earth realm. She should have enjoyed everyone's admiration and reverence, but because of a strange girl, she was bullied in front of her big brother. But she couldn't be angry with her big brother. Qiao Yilu's heart was extremely agitated. The flickering light in her eyes was also tinged with impatience. Where are you going? Qiao Yinyan actually caught up with the girl's footsteps and stretched out his hand to pull the girl's arm, took the initiative to pull someone else, and avoided Qiao Yilu's touch. This scene was a clear slap to Qiao Yilu's face. He was even slapped in the face by his own elder brother. Qiao Yilu's face was no longer able to maintain her arrogance as it turned ashen and dark. Yi Qing Luo naturally noticed the astonished gazes of the crowd. She was quite surprised herself. She had a rough idea of Qiao Yinyan's identity and personality from the surrounding citizens. However, Qiao Yinyan treated her differently. Yi Qing Luo didn't believe that Qiao Yinyan had seen through the mud on her face and fell in love with her at first sight. Did something on her body expose her aura? Or Could it be that this Qiao Yinyan knew of her identity in the Nirvana realm and had gotten close to her for some reason? She paused and glanced sideways at Qiao Yinyan. She moved her arm away to avoid his touch. Young Master Qiao, you and I don't know each other. I don't think I need to report to you where I go, right? As for his luck after arriving in the land, Yi Qing Luo was already in despair. She didn't want to have anything to do with a big shot like Qiao Yinyan, especially if she attracted the attention of the people behind the secluded palace, in the territory of the Earth domain. To her, it was extremely dangerous. Chapter 3492. You already know my name, so it's not like we don't know each other. Although I don't know your name now, but I believe you will be willing to tell me your name. Qiao Yinyan's thin lips curled up as he looked at Yi Qing Luo with eyes full of smiles. This was the Qiao Yinyan that everyone had never seen before. Even Qiao Yulu, who had grown up with him, had never seen her elder brother treat anyone with such a pleasant expression. Yi Qing Luo raised her head and looked at him calmly. I'm very curious, what is the reason why a dignified young Master Qiao would care so much about a beggar like me? Hearing Yi Qing Luo's question, everyone's ears perked up. They were also very curious. What was it about this disheveled young lady that caught young Master Qiao's eyes? Say it, say it. Everyone please follow suit. Do you really want me to answer? Qiao Yinyan hesitated slightly. Yi Qing Luo nodded. Answer. Qiao Yinyan raised his eyes, and his gaze swept past Qiao Yulu, and finally fixed on her personal maid, Kai Dai. Kai Dai, being stared at by this gaze, couldn't help shivering. The first time I saw you, you were lying on the street and being carried by the Qiao family's old woman. The expression you looked at her with was different from the expression you showed on the surface. Kai Dai's pupils suddenly enlarged and her body went soft as she knelt heavily on the ground. Qiao Yulu's sharp gaze cut over to Kai Dai. She seemed to be questioning when did Kai Dai come into contact with Yi Qing Luo, and why did she attract Qiao Yinyan's attention? Kai Dai couldn't say anything. She could only kneel on the ground, silently crying. Yi Qing Luo frowned when she heard this. Are you observing me? Qiao Yinyan explained. I just happened to see you, so I'm very curious about you and want to be friends with you. There's no other meaning. From Qiao Yinyan's eyes, Yi Qing Luo indeed didn't see any improper emotions. On the contrary, it was very clear and sincere. Lass, I feel that this young man shouldn't have any motive for you. In his mind, old man Tsang's voice resounded. He is the young master of the Qiao family. At such a young age, he is about to step into the spirit profound realm. He is a profound practitioner who is about to become a god. Even if he knew your identity, he would not deliberately approach you because of your identity. He paused. I don't think he's lying. Not lying? In other words, Qiao Yinyan was indeed interested in her. Was that why he wanted to be her friend? Big brother Yinyan. Yi Qing Luo had yet to respond to Qiao Yinyan. On the other side, Yu Jiwen could no longer control her emotions. She had fallen in love with Qiao Yinyan for a long time. She also saw herself as Qiao Yinyan's future wife. How could he tolerate the fact that Qiao Yinyan was interested in other women? Yu Jiwen's eyes were red as she strode forward and stretched out her hand to grab Yi Qing Luo. You vixen, you look so ugly, and you dare to seduce brother Yinyan. Who do you think you are? She cried and howled as all the grievances she had towards Yi Qing Luo were all vented out. Profound energy surged, and the hand which was grabbing towards Yi Qing Luo also revealed a thick, murderous intent. Yu Jiwen. Qiao Yinyan's brows knitted tightly as he raised his hand and struck towards Yu Jiwen. The strength in his hand was not merciful at all, but he had just struck, and the young lady who was attacked by Yu Jiwen had already clasped Yu Jiwen's wrist, only to hear a kacha sound, the sound of bones breaking. Yu Jiwen screamed miserably. There was a sudden, sharp pain in her abdomen. Chapter 3493. Ah, you You hurt someone in front of Sister Yulu. You don't put her in your eyes at all. Yu Jiwen clutched her painful abdomen. He felt as if his internal organs had been broken by this kick. As she spoke, blood flowed out of her mouth. However, the anger and unwillingness in her heart made her force herself to continue speaking. Elder Sister Yulu, that slut is relying on elder brother Inyan's affection for her to destroy your prestige. She glanced at Kai Dai and thought of the scene where her maid quietly told her about the conflict between Kai Dai and Yi Qing Luo on the street, which was also what Xiao Yinyan said, the scene where Yi Qing Luo attracted his attention. Yu Jiwen's eyes flashed. And Without Embroiling City, who doesn't know that today is the day when Sister Yulu returns to Without Embroiling City from Linglong Palace as the mysterious fairy? That slut first blocked your path, wanting to taint you with bad luck. Now, she deliberately provoked the sibling affection between you and Big Brother Yinyan, and even spoke rudely to you time and time again. Sister Yulu, that slut's target, is you. After Yu Jiwen finished these words, there was a taste of blood in her throat. She coughed violently and spat out a mouthful of blood. But her words made everyone present to look at Yi Qing Luo with a gaze filled with doubt, especially Xiao Yilu. The cold arrogance on her face and the insufferably arrogant attitude was on the verge of collapse. Anyone could tell that Yu Jiwen deliberately wanted to provoke the enmity between her and Yi Qing Luo, and also to use her to take revenge on Yi Qing Luo, although she knew Yu Jiwen's purpose. But Xiao Yilu's heart was still shaken, whether what Yu Jiwen said was true or false. No matter what Yi Qing Luo's purpose was, just based on what Yi Qing Luo had done in front of her, all these gave her enough reason to kill Yi Qing Luo. Looks like you think that I moved too lightly. Yi Qing Luo glanced at Yu Jiwen indifferently. Her voice was cold and her eyes calm. Saying that, Yi Qing Luo took a slight step forward. Yu Jiwen was shocked, grabbed the maid's hand and took a few steps back. Looking at Yi Qing Luo, her gaze was full of terror. Yi Qing Luo's lips curled into a smile. He was covered in mud, and his face was in a sorry state. Under this smile, there was an inexplicable charm to it. The look in Xiao Yulu's eyes grew increasingly sinister. Yi Qing Luo raised her eyes and her vision met Xiao Yulu's vicious gaze as she stared straight at Xiao Yulu. There was not the slightest hint of fear in his eyes. On the contrary, he was so calm that it was as if he was looking at an ordinary person. She said, "I have no interest in you." It was just a few simple words, and his tone was cold and flat. It could be considered as a response to Yu Jiwen's complaint. But such a response, he was obviously stirring up trouble, and it seemed to be something big. Wasn't he clearly looking down on the Empyrean Fairy of Without Embroiling City, the most honorable person in the city? This girl must be crazy, right? This was the unanimous thought of the onlookers. However, under the astonished gazes of the hundreds of thousands of citizens, the young woman calmly looked at Xiao Yinyan and asked, "Other than the Zhongqing trading firm, are there any other trading firms in Without Embroiling City?" The onlookers, F*CK, F*CK. This girl was really crazy. After expressing her disdain and contempt towards Empyrean Fairy, she directly ignored her. Didn't she know that she had offended Empyrean Fairy? Chapter 3494. No, that's not right. This girl was really not afraid of offending the entire Without Embroiling City, because Mysterious Fairy's brother was interested in this girl. Just like now, after Yi Qing Luo finished her sentence, which seemed to explain Yu Jiwen's rumor, but was actually humiliating Xiao Yilu. Xiao Yinyan didn't have any reaction, nor did he have any intention to stand up for his sister. But with a smile on his lips, he gazed at the girl and answered her question. There are many trading houses in Without Embroiling City. I would like to see which trading house in Without Embroiling City dares to accept your order. The girl's melodious voice exuded a strong aura. Strong, profound energy spread out from Xiao Yulu's body, sweeping everything in the surroundings. The entire area of Zhongcheng Trading House was shrouded by this strong energy. Even the air seemed to have solidified. Among the onlookers, there were quite a number of people with lower cultivation. Immediately, they clutched their hearts, trembled, and fell to the ground, suffocating. Obviously, Xiao Yulu was angry. She slightly narrowed her beautiful eyes, her red lips burning like a raging flame under her veil. Of course, you can also choose to beg me. If I'm in a good mood, I might relent and let you cooperate with the exchange house. Xiao Yulu's tone was full of arrogance, as if she was giving alms. Yi Qing Luo couldn't help but laugh. Indeed, a princess who had been spoiled since young. This overweening princess disease was really not light. Hearing Yi Qing Luo's laughter, Xiao Yulu's face sank, a trace of anger flashed in her eyes. Little slut, do you know what Sister Yulu represents in Without Embroiling City? She represents the entire Without Embroiling City. It's your honor to be able to speak to Sister Yulu. Yu Jiwen, who had swallowed a pill to stabilize her internal injury, couldn't help but come out to make trouble again, with Xiao Yulu as her backing. She was full of confidence again. If you still want to survive in Without Embroiling City, quickly kneel down and apologize to Sister Yulu. Xiao Yulu's delicate brows furrowed imperceptibly. She glanced sideways at Yu Jiwen with a trace of disgust, but she didn't interrupt Yu Jiwen's words. Instead, he displayed an arrogant attitude, raised his chin, and looked at Yi Qing Luo arrogantly. She was like a high and mighty queen, waiting for her subjects to submit to her. Apologize? The smile on the girl's face deepened. Her long and narrow eyes were still so bewitching. However, at this moment, there was an additional chill that caused one to feel fear. Yu Jiwen shrank back in fear at his smile. Little girl, don't forget that this is the Earth Domain. The Earth Domain. Old Man Tsang's voice was filled with helplessness. With your current strength in the Earth realm, even though you can't be considered to be at the bottom, there are plenty of profound practitioners who can torture you to the point of asking me for help. Don't be rash. Old Man Tsang understood Yi Qing Luo's character too well. She didn't like to make trouble, but he wasn't afraid of anything. If the other party really wanted to pester him endlessly, Yi Qing Luo would definitely retaliate till the end. The Empyrean Fairy of the Earth Realm is no joke. This woman named Xiao Yulu is stronger than you. Moreover, I can sense that there are quite a number of sky-profound 5th grade and above secret guards hidden in the dark. They should be sent by Exquisite Pavilion to protect Empyrean Fairy secretly. If we really fight, you won't gain any advantage, and there's a possibility that you won't be able to make it to Shadowless City to look for the Overlord. Yi Qing Luo. Chapter 3495. Although she was ridiculing Old Man Tsang's words in her heart, but she had to admit that Old Man Tsang's words made sense. If they really fought, she indeed wouldn't be able to gain any advantage. Furthermore, there was a possibility that she would expose her life-saving artifact. Her war pet and divine artifact, no matter which one she took out. There was a possibility that the person behind the scenes of the Nether Palace would sense her presence and lock onto her position. In this foreign territory, one more life-saving artifact, one more guarantee. But she could only watch Xiao Yulu acting cool, and if she didn't slap her face, her hands were really itchy. So itchy that she wanted to punch someone. Right. Apologize. Yu Jiwen saw that Yi Qing Luo didn't make any movements and shouted, "Kneel down and apologize to Sister Yu Lu immediately." Following that, she turned to the 10 over people following Xiao Yulu's carriage and shouted sternly, "Quickly catch that audacious slut!" Insulting Sister Yulu is equivalent to insulting our Without Embroiling City. What's more, she doesn't put Linglong Palace in her eyes. We absolutely cannot let this kind of person continue to roam freely outside. Those 10 over people were the guards that Xiao Yulu brought out from Linglong Palace. Yu Jiwen's words naturally made those guards' gazes towards Yi Qing Luo, filled with a severe glare. The guards didn't take action immediately. Instead, they looked towards Xiao Yulu. Seeing that Xiao Yulu had no intention to stop them, the 10 over-guards gripped their swords tightly as they surrounded Yi Qing Luo. "Oh no! Lass, hurry and run!" Old Man Song said anxiously. "Linglong Palace's guards have gone through layers of screening and are very powerful. Most importantly, if you retaliate, the Linglong Palace's secret guards may also strike." Yi Qing Luo's fingers moved. Run? That was impossible. She would never run in this lifetime. Did she? Yi Qing Luo looked like someone who would slip away. But what Old Man Song said was indeed the truth. Linglong Palace's guards, Linglong Palace's secret guards. If these two groups of people were to really start a fight, then she would definitely be at a disadvantage. She was thinking about how to solve the current predicament gently without violence. Just as the Linglong Palace's guards had surrounded her, an invisible barrier enveloped Yi Qing Luo's surroundings. A slender figure stood in front of Yi Qing Luo. His cold and oppressive voice intimidated everyone present. "Let me see who dares to touch her." These 6 calm words exploded like a clap of thunder. Big brother." Xiao Yulu's expression was terrible. She clenched her fists and her eyes were filled with darkness. Why? She was Qiao Yinyan's younger sister, his sister from the same father and mother. Why would he stand against her and humiliate her in front of all the citizens of the city? She had gone through untold hardships to become, without embroiling cities, Empyrean maiden. He had sacrificed so much for the Qiao family, but he was going to humiliate her on the first day she returned to without embroiling city after becoming the Empyrean fairy. He was going to make her, the Empyrean fairy of without embroiling city, unable to raise her head. Xiao Yulu's eyes reddened. However, in front of his younger sister, his usual arrogant demeanor crumbled, and his eyes reddened pitifully. Qiao Yinyan had no compassion at all. He stood in front of Yi Qing Luo and did not move an inch. This matter is indeed Zhongcheng Trading House's fault for judging a book by its cover. It's not this young lady's fault. Xiao Yulu clenched her fists and pursed her red lips. Chapter 3496. Qiao Yinyan's tone was very indifferent. If it wasn't for the fact that Zhongcheng Trading Firm wanted to use force to threaten the customer, but their skills were inferior, would such a thing happen? This was obviously a move to protect Yi Qing Luo, which made Yu Jiwen's eyes red with anger. A lot of words were stuck in her throat, unable to spit out. Xiao Yulu's face turned even uglier. The onlookers were stunned. On one side was Without Embroiling City's mysterious fairy. On the other side was the Qiao family's young master, the youngest cultivator who was about to step into the spirit mystic realm. Moreover, the two of them were blood-related siblings. Whichever side they stood on was bound to offend the other person. Offending the other person was bound to offend the Qiao family. The head of Zhongcheng Trading Firm wanted to cry, but no tears came out. What was this all about? The atmosphere in the air was getting more and more tense. The citizens even became cautious when they breathed. Xiao Yulu's tightly clenched hands loosened and clenched again and again. After repeating this for a long time, she raised her head. Her beautiful eyes were cold as she said word by word. "Big brother, I am Without Embroiling City's mysterious fairy. I represent the face of Without Embroiling City. She, an unknown person, has humiliated me time and time again. Big brother, are you really going to hurt me for an outsider?" She raised her hand and pointed at Yi Qing Luo. "What kind of bewitching potion did this woman feed you to make you treat me like this?" Her voice was filled with a sense of determination and coldness. It seemed to jump out from the gaps of her teeth. There was another kind of silent and hoarse accusation in his voice. It easily aroused the citizens' emotions. That's right. That was just an unknown woman. Even if Zhong Cheng trading firm was in the wrong first. But that woman's attitude towards Princess Yulu showed that she didn't put Without Embroiling City in her eyes at all. As a citizen of Without Embroiling City, Chao Yinyan should stand on Princess Yulu's side. What's more, Chao Yinyan was Princess Yulu's biological brother. For the past 18 years, young Master Chao had always been gentle and refined. Although he treated people coldly, he never lacked the necessary etiquette. But today, it was so abnormal. That woman. Could it be that she knew some sorcery to manipulate people? The citizens instantly started whispering amongst themselves as they pointed their fingers at Yi Qing Luo. Chao Yinyan's expression froze as he stared coldly at Chao Yilu. Princess Yilu, pay attention to your current status. Your every word and action is being listened to and watched by countless eyes. Chao Yilu's petite body trembled as she bit down on her rosy lips beneath the veil so hard that traces of blood could be seen. Blood stained the white gauze. This scene made the citizens feel sorry for Chao Yilu. Young Master Chao, you've been deceived by that woman. Wake up. This is your biological sister. How could you hurt your own sister for an unknown woman? It was because of you that Princess Yulu was humiliated by an unknown woman. Princess Yulu represents all of Without Embroiling City. That woman, humiliated Princess Yulu, is the same as humiliating all of us. Young Master Chao, please step aside. That woman must be handed over to Princess Yulu. At this moment, the citizens had totally treated Chao Yinyan as being bewitched by Yi Qing Luo. Each and every one of them clamored for young Master Chao to regain his senses. That countless accusations covered the sky and the earth. It set off wave after wave of criticism. Yi Qing Luo stood on the spot with her arms crossed over her chest. She narrowed her eyes, staring at the back view in front of her. Until now, Chao Yinyan hadn't moved a single step even when the citizens were furious. To be honest, Yi Qing Luo was very curious, even if Chao Yinyan was interested in her. Chapter 3497. But no matter what, Chao Yinyan had indeed suffered because of her. After all, before today, Chao Yinyan's reputation in Without Embroiling City was genius, noble young master, and so on. No matter what Chao Yinyan's real purpose was, it was a fact that he had helped her this point. This is Princess Yulu. Yi Qing Luo walked out from behind Chao Yinyan. She curled her lips slightly and looked languid. If you really don't want to go against your brother, you wouldn't be standing here and let the citizens angrily accuse your brother. When Yi Qing Luo walked out, Chao Yulu's hazy vision was locked on Yi Qing Luo. Her burning gaze was filled with a cold chill. Her beautiful eyes were filled with murderous intent. But this didn't affect Yi Qing Luo at all. Yi Qing Luo still had a roguish smile on her face. If I were you, I would have chosen to turn around and leave long ago, and wouldn't become a laughing stock. She paused, raised her hand, and placed it on Chao Yinyan's shoulder, pushing him a few steps to the side. Immediately, she stood in front of Chao Yilu. Are you sure it was me who humiliated you, and not you who put your face in front of me for me to slap? Yi Qing Luo met Chao Yilu's increasingly vicious gaze and smiled evilly. I just want to find another trading house to trade some things. Chao Yilu's face suddenly turned black. Yes, Yi Qing Luo wanted to change to another trading house. And because of her face and because of natural hostility towards Yi Qing Luo, she stopped Yi Qing Luo. She just didn't expect that Chao Yinyan would be so duty-bound to stand in front of Yi Qing Luo. Quick, look. Patriarch Chao is here. It's Patriarch Chao and the city lord. Isn't this a bit too big of a deal? Even the leaders of the two major factions of Without Embroiling City have come. All of a sudden, the commoners burst into shouts of surprise. Not far away, two groups of people hurriedly rushed over. At the very front was a middle-aged man in a navy blue robe. He was about 34 or 35 years old. His steps were extremely fast. He rushed to Xiao Yilu's side and looked at her nervously. After confirming that Xiao Yilu was not injured, he heaved a sigh of relief. "Father." Xiao Yilu's face lit up when she saw who it was. That middle-aged man was none other than the Qiao family's patriarch, Qiao Jingming. Following closely behind him was a middle-aged man in his 40s, dressed in a bright yellow brocade robe. That should be the city lord of Without Embroiling City, Lu Qingxiang. These two people were the two largest factions in Without Embroiling City. A lord of a city, a head of an aristocratic family. These two people actually appeared here at the same time. Was it because he heard that Princess Yulu was being bullied here, so he rushed over to support her? The two great Buddhas appeared. Even with young Master Qiao's protection, the young lady would most likely not be able to escape death. What's going on? City Lord Lu looked at Xiao Yilu, then at Xiao Yinyan and Yiqing Luo, but no one said anything. "You rascal, get your ass over here." Patriarch Qiao pointed at Xiao Yinyan. "Look at you, it's not easy for your sister to come back. Why are you blocking her here?" Xiao Yinyan didn't move. Xiao Yilu pulled Patriarch Qiao's hand. "Father, don't blame Big Brother. Big Brother is just—" Her words paused, and she didn't continue. Instead, she looked at Yiqing Luo and immediately lowered her eyes. Chapter 3498. Patriarch Qiao and City Lord Lu rushed over. Naturally, they had heard about what happened at Zhongcheng Trading Hall. The first time he saw Yiqing Luo, Patriarch Qiao knew that this was the culprit who stirred up the dispute between his son and daughter. His expression sunk as he stared coldly at Yiqing Luo. "You're the one who seduced my son?" "Father." Xiao Yinyan strode forward, blocking Patriarch Qiao's line of sight. "You're not even married yet, and you're already helping her. If you marry her, that would be terrible. Do I still want to be the head of the family?" Patriarch Qiao's eyes widened in anger as he pointed at Yiqing Luo and said sternly, "Young lady, if you still have any sense of shame, stand out yourself. Don't hide behind my son." Xiao Yinyan's handsome face was tainted with an imperceptible blush. "Father, don't talk nonsense and ruin my reputation." Patriarch Qiao shook off Xiao Yinyan's outstretched hand. Then he pushed Xiao Yinyan away and rushed in front of Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo. Why did she feel that this Patriarch Qiao was the same as Teacher Guiyu, an old urchin? Yiqing Luo didn't hide as she allowed Patriarch Qiao to size her up, until Patriarch Qiao's hand stretched out towards her wrist. Yiqing Luo then took a step back. "You've seen enough and want to touch? You shameless lass." Patriarch Qiao's face turned red from Yiqing Luo's words. What did she mean by seeing enough and want to touch? Did he look like that kind of lecherous and wretched old man? "Brother Qiao." City Lord Lu walked over from behind. "Leave this matter to me. Princess Yulu is Without Embroiling City's mysterious maiden, and I feel deeply guilty for such a thing to happen in Without Embroiling City." City Lord Lu looked refined and elegant. His every action was filled with the elegance of a superior. When City Lord Lu walked over, Patriarch Qiao directly blocked in front of him. "This is my family's matter. Of course, I will settle it myself." "Brother Qiao, what are you saying?" City Lord Lu's expression froze, but he quickly put on a smile. "Princess Yulu is the Empyrean Lady of Without Embroiling City. Her matters are Without Embroiling City's matters. As the city lord, I must take responsibility for this matter." Patriarch Qiao frowned and glanced at City Lord Lu impatiently. He couldn't be bothered to bother about him as he looked towards Yiqing Luo. "Little lass, since it's because of you, it caused my son and daughter to go against each other. I must bring you back to the Qiao family to teach you a lesson. Follow me now." Saying that, he pulled Yiqing Luo's wrist, forcefully dragging her away. Xiao Yinyan, who was at the side, reached out to stop Chow family head's hand. "Father," his tone was rather helpless. "Stop messing around. This young lady only wanted to find a trading firm to cooperate with. Everything else was caused by Third Miss Yu and Princess Yulu. It wasn't her fault. Even now, it's still Miss calling me Miss. He didn't even know his name. What's the use of having you?" Patriarch Qiao stared at Qiao Yinyan and then stared at Yi Qing Luo. "What's your name?" Yi Qing Luo. Had she sensed wrongly? Why did she feel that Patriarch Qiao seemed to have misunderstood something? She was about to open her mouth, but she heard Qiao Yulu's anxious call, "Father!" Apparently, Qiao Yulu had also sensed that something was amiss as she walked over in quick steps. Chapter 3499. It's understandable that Zhongcheng would detain her outside. After all, no one can guarantee that she entered the exchange hall to steal from customers or to cooperate with them. Qiao Yulu's expression was filled with arrogance and ridicule. Right. That's what First Master said earlier. Yu Jiwen finally found a chance to step on Yi Qing Luo. Even Sister Yulu thinks so. That slut must be trying to steal from the exchange hall. Not letting her into the exchange hall is to ensure the safety of the other customers' crystals. Qiao Yulu totally didn't believe that Yi Qing Luo had anything that could cooperate with the exchange hall. If she really had, then she wouldn't be in such a sorry state. As though she saw the ridicule in Qiao Yulu's eyes, Yi Qing Luo smiled calmly, totally not bothered about their comments. "I haven't even entered the exchange hall. How do you know that I don't have anything that can cooperate with them?" "What good stuff can you have with your poor look? Even if you have, it must be stolen from others." Yu Jiwen snorted coldly. "Hurry up and hand it over. Hand over what you stole from others. With Sister Yulu around, no exchange hall in the entire Without Embroiling City will dare to cooperate with you." Under the veil, Qiao Yulu's eyes curved slightly. Her narrowed eyes looked a little cold. Apparently, she tacitly agreed to Yu Jiwen's compliment. "TSK, Yi Qing Luo," clicked her tongue. This Yu Jiwen was brainless. Even Qiao Yulu, the mysterious fairy, was brainless? Was it really good to be so arrogant in front of the city lord? Although it was true that no exchange hall in the entire Without Embroiling City dared to cooperate with her, but to say it in front of City Lord Lu, wasn't it indirectly telling City Lord Lu, "Your status in Without Embroiling City is not as good as Princess Yulu"? This was simply the last bottom line of a person in power. The key was that Qiao Yulu had indeed so expression. This was because she was used to being on top. In her eyes, even the city lord of Without Embroiling City was not in her eyes. Just at this moment, suddenly a low, uncertain voice rang from the crowd. Our exchange hall is willing to cooperate with Miss." That voice was very soft, but in this tense atmosphere. But it was clearly transmitted into everyone's ears. Everyone was startled and thought they had heard wrongly. Even Yi Qing Luo was stunned for a moment. "There's actually a trading house that wants to work with the woman who offended Princess Yulu? Are you tired of living? Isn't this disrespecting Princess Yulu? Which trading firm is so stupid?" Everyone discussed among themselves as they searched for the source of the sound. Soon, the crowd of onlookers parted to form a path. He saw a young man in his 20s standing at the back of the crowd. He clasped his hands together and stood there awkwardly. Chapter 3500. I still remember that it was that kid's father who bragged about that treasure to the point of being miraculous, and it caused all of Without Embroiling City to be discussing the treasure of their treasure gathering hall before the auction even began. What treasure? Is it that sensational? What's with you guys talking about deceiving the customers? You guys don't know how big of a commotion this matter was that year. During the auction, the treasure was quoted at a sky-high price, and it was successfully bid by a nameless lad. But that nameless lad had not even gotten the treasure when he was exposed. That lad was the nephew of the master of the treasure exchange. The most ridiculous thing was that the treasure had been inspected on the spot, and it was actually a piece of useless stone with a little spiritual chi. Their own people bidding for their own treasures? What's the benefit of doing so? One must know that the transaction fee for the auction is 5% of the transaction amount. Still using the useless stone as a treasure, is he in a hurry to give away the crystals for the auction? Don't forget what conditions must be fulfilled to obtain the title of the best exchange in Without Embroiling City. For a moment, the onlookers began to discuss spiritedly. Someone thought for a while before saying loudly, in the auction, "The exchange house with the most crystals will be awarded the title of the best exchange house." Instantly, the crowd went into an uproar. In other words, in order to be awarded the title of the best exchange house, Treasures Exchange boasted about a fake treasure and bought that treasure back at a sky-high price. In this way, Treasures Exchange only needed to pay the auction's transaction fee to obtain the title of the best exchange house. With this title, it was only a matter of time before those transaction fees were earned back. The most important thing in an exchange house was credibility and reputation. The surrounding people's discussions made the young man's face flush red, especially his pair of eyes, which were bloodshot red. The veins on his forehead popped out as his hands clenched into fists, as though he was suppressing the anger in his heart. He didn't refute the surrounding people's words, but used his reddened eyes to look at Yi Qing Luo as he said, word by word, "Our exchange house is willing to cooperate with you. As long as you have something to trade with us, we will definitely pay you enough crystals." That straight back, that stubborn gaze. It made Yi Qing Luo inexplicably thought of those brothers in Nirvana realm. A light flashed in her charming eyes. "Pay crystal stones? Boss pay. You haven't had much business in the past 5 years, right? How are you going to pay her? Also, after the grand auction, the treasure gathering exchange that has been trading crystal stones at the bottom for 5 years in a row, your reputation will be taken down. In the past 5 years, there have been no customers coming in or out of the treasures exchange house. This kid is already at the end of his rope, so whenever he sees someone who wants to cooperate with the exchange house, he impatiently rushes out. Ha ha ha, a beggar and a trading house that is about to close down, what a perfect match. The discussions of the citizens became more and more unbearable. The mocking words were like a mountain, about to crush the young man's shoulders. The young man's eyes were red, and his face was filled with grief and indignation. The suppressed anger in his eyes flowed continuously, but he clenched his fists tightly, suppressing the rage in him as he stubbornly looked at Yi Qing Luo. "You want to cooperate with me?" Yi Qing Luo slowly walked towards that young man. Pei Sheng clenched his fists, his eyes filled with determination. "Yes." Chapter 3501. Pei Sheng pursed his lips tightly. "I don't want our signboard to be taken down." Yi Qing Luo lowered her eyes. She could tell that he was really at the end of his rope. At this juncture, he expressed his willingness to work with her in public. This was his last chance. He really valued that exchange hall of his. So much, so that even though he knew that the road ahead might be a cliff, he had to take a step forward without hesitation. "You should know that once you accept my cooperation, if I'm really like what they say, a thief who wants to enter the exchange hall to steal things, not only will you be cheated by me, you and the exchange hall will offend Without Embroiling City's mysterious maiden. You may not have a place to stay in this Without Embroiling City, or even in the Earth realm." Yi Qing Luo revealed a smile at him. Pei Sheng's gaze towards Yi Qing Luo was still that resolute. He tightened his fingers and said seriously, "I believe you're not a thief." Yi Qing Luo's lips curled. "I also believe that the exchange hall won't lie to its customers." "You." Pei Sheng's body suddenly stiffened. Looking at Yi Qing Luo's eyes, it gradually widened. Suddenly, tears gushed out. "You believe? You really believe?" he cried as he asked, his voice filled with uncertainty and shock. How many years had it been? He couldn't remember how many years it had been. No one believed his explanation. No one believed the cleanliness of the exchange hall. His father died in that rumor. He couldn't take everyone's abuse and distrust. So he jumped into the river. Later on, he took over the exchange. And like his father, he kept on explaining to those who insulted the exchange hall. No one believed. Slowly, he heard the rumors about the exchange hall. He learned to remain silent, because even if he explained, no one would listen. But his silence, in everyone's eyes, it was a tacit agreement. This was the first time in 5 years that someone said they believed him, believed in the exchange hall. Really, I believe you, so I'm willing to cooperate with the exchange hall. Yi Qing Luo smiled as she nodded. Yi Qing Luo's words shocked the citizens. All the sarcastic words were stuck in their throats. This lady had really been driven crazy by Princess Yulu? She actually wanted to cooperate with the exchange hall? The citizens were in an uproar. On the other side, Qiao Yulu's face was livid. She glared at Pei Sheng with eyes full of killing intent. City Lord Lu took a look at Qiao Yulu and then at Yi Qing Luo's direction, as he silently heaved a sigh of relief. Patriarch Qiao's eyes widened as he grabbed Qiao Yinyan's arm. Where did you find this girl? Wouldn't everything be fine if you obediently followed me back to the Qiao family? And why did he have to cooperate with a trading house that was about to close? Is there something wrong with his brain? Qiao Yinyan felt somewhat helpless when he heard his father's voice, but his vision was fixated on Yi Qing Luo without blinking. You, Sister Yu Lu, Yu Jiwen whispered with an ugly look on her face. Even if there's a trading house that's willing to cooperate with her, what can a trading house that's about to lose its reputation set off? It's just a deathbed struggle. Qiao Yulu did not respond. Her malicious, beautiful eyes shifted onto Yi Qing Luo. He looked at the girl who was talking to Pei Sheng in a low voice. The haze and treachery in her eyes became more and more turbulent. Indeed, look at the combination of these two. Even if it was a cooperation, it was just a joke. Even if Yi Qing Luo really had something to cooperate with the exchange hall. Not to mention the reputation of the exchange hall. No one would even step into the exchange hall. Moreover, she, Qiao Yulu, was around. Chapter 3502. But in Qiao Yulu's heart, there was an ominous premonition. Her eyes were slightly cold, and the face under the veil seemed to be covered with a layer of frost. Suddenly, her voice became gentle, but it was clearly transmitted into everyone's ears. This matter is just a small matter, but it has implicated Father and City Lord Lu. This Empress is not an unreasonable person. How about this? No matter what you have done to my big brother, as long as you let go of my big brother, no matter what you have taken from my big brother, I will give it all to you. Her tone was still filled with her unique arrogance, as though she was giving alms to something. However, Qingmin heard it. Instantly, they felt that their Princess Yu Lu was simply radiant. She was too kind, right? You're too considerate of the people. For Big Brother, she was willing to swallow this grievance. No wonder she was there without embroiling City's mysterious fairy. Yi Qing Luo couldn't help but give a thumbs up for Qiao Yulu's move. These words were not only to insist that Qiao Yinyan's protection of her was because she had used some tricks and methods to seduce Qiao Yinyan into falling head over heels for her. He had even blocked her escape route. If she didn't have anything in her hands that could cooperate with the exchange hall, then Qiao Yulu could totally insist. She entered the exchange hall to steal things. If she really took out something that could be traded, no matter if this thing was given by Qiao Yinyan or not, everyone would feel that the thing she took out was a scam from Qiao Yinyan. This move was indeed brilliant. When Qiao Yulu's words entered everyone's ears, the citizens were instantly enlightened. Preposterous. Taking young master Qiao's things to trade with other exchange hall in exchange for crystal stones. How could she do such a thing? City Lord Lu opened his mouth angrily. His face was filled with anger as he stared at Yi Qing Luo with ridicule. "Miss, you can be poor, but you can't throw away your own conscience and sense of shame." Previously, Zhong Cheng Exchange Hall's big master had already apologized to her and invited her to enter Zhongcheng, but she insisted on relying on young Master Qiao's support to throw face to Big Master. "Now, you're going to cooperate with a trading house that's about to go bankrupt." Ridiculous, ridiculous. The funniest thing is that she took young Master Qiao's things and ran off to cooperate with other trading houses. I don't know where she got the face to do that. He's shameless, just like what the city lord said. He's throwing away his conscience and sense of shame, listening to all kinds of mockery and ridicule coming from all directions. Pei Sheng's entire body was terrifyingly stiff. If one looked closely, they could see that he was trembling slightly. His face was burning hot. The grief and indignation in his eyes were almost uncontrollable. Faintly, a flash of pain could be seen. It was him who caused this beautiful young lady to suffer the ridicule of so many people. If it wasn't for the fact that he wanted to grasp this final opportunity, that way he wouldn't drag the young girl into the pain he was suffering. Suddenly, a hand was placed on his shoulder. That hand was small and soft. However, it carried a warmth that dispelled the coldness in his body. Pei Sheng raised his head stiffly and stared at the young girl in front of him. The young girl was obviously not even at the height of his chin, but there was an indescribable sense of security which made one believe in her and feel at ease. The young girl totally didn't care about the surrounding discussions as she looked at him smilingly, that disheveled face which was covered in mud. But Pei Sheng could vaguely see the young girl's breathtaking beauty under her disheveled state. Chapter 3503. The young lady didn't say a word, but her gaze was filled with warmth, which made him feel at ease, as though she was telling him, "Don't be afraid, I'm here." This was obviously the first time they met, but Pei Sheng felt there was a kind of magic about her that made people believe in her. It was as if many miracles would happen to her. Pei Sheng had a feeling, ever since he chose to stand out, handing over the future of the treasure-gathering exchange hall to the young lady. His destiny's gear started to turn in an earth-shattering manner, seeing the man's emotions calming down. Yi Qing Luo's lips curled as she asked, "Where's your exchange hall? Let's head over first." Pei Sheng nodded his head repeatedly and was about to lead Yi Qing Luo away. Turning around, he saw the surrounding citizens, City Lord Lu and Qiao family's patriarch, as well as Princess Yu Lu, who was emitting a dense, murderous aura. His entire body stiffened as he looked at those people fearfully, immediately suppressing his voice. Miss. We really, can we leave?" Yi Qing Luo shot a glance at the crowd in front of her, blocking the path as she smiled faintly. "Are you afraid?" Pei Sheng's face flushed red as he clenched his fists tightly. "Not afraid." Saying that, he felt that he wasn't convinced enough, so he added another sentence. "If treasure gathering is really stripped of its signboard, I will definitely die. Now this is my only chance. It's just death anyway. I have nothing to be afraid of." Looking at the man's determined brows, Yi Qing Luo smiled. "It's good that you're not afraid. If because of me I caused you trouble and made you afraid, I will feel guilty." "No trouble, no trouble." Pei Sheng immediately shook his head. "But I caused you to suffer from rumors and slanders." Yi Qing Luo waved her hand as she interrupted his words. "Even if you don't stand out, your mysterious maiden will not let me off." We now. How can we leave?" Pei Sheng wasn't silly. Based on the current situation, 2 powerhouses had appeared and Mysterious Maiden was here. If it wasn't for the fact that there were many citizens around, those powerhouses had no way to deal with them in broad daylight. The both of them would probably be beheaded by now. Yi Qing Luo hadn't said a word. Behind them, a gust of hurricane was approaching. She saw Qiao family's patriarch dragging Qiao Yinan as he hurriedly rushed over. "Now you know that you're afraid and know that there's no way to leave this place? Why are you so stupid?" Will you only stop after things get out of hand? Patriarch Qiao glared at Pei Sheng. His gaze made it seem as if Pei Sheng was going to snatch something from him. Following that, he stared at Yi Qing Luo and continued to rebuke. Not only is your brain damaged, there's something wrong with your eyes too. Instead of cooperating with Sincerity Bank, you chose to cooperate with this kind of trading house that deceives its customers and is about to go bankrupt. In the face of Patriarch Qiao's aggressive attitude, Yi Qing Luo was very calm. The name of treasure gathering is not bad, it's very auspicious. I don't think treasure gathering will go bankrupt. W wager? Qiao family's patriarch was choked by Yi Qing Luo's words as his eyes opened wide. You're just going to wither away this wager and cooperate with the treasure gathering. For 4 years in a row, the number of crystals traded at the Treasures Gathering Exchange House has been 0. What do you think this is? Patriarch Qiao looked at Yi Qing Luo as though he was looking at a fool. In this year's auction, the Treasure Gathering House is once again at the bottom, according to the rules of Without Embroiling City's Exchange Hall. The reputation of the Treasure Gathering House must be taken down. Yi Qing Luo's lips curled slightly. Isn't there still 1 more year? When Pei Sheng heard that, he went into a daze as he abruptly raised his head and looked at Yi Qing Luo in a daze. His eyes were gradually filled with tears. Chapter 3504. Some people believed that his Treasures Exchange Hall didn't cheat their customers. Some people believed that his Treasures Exchange Hall wouldn't be torn down, even if these were just words of encouragement. It also made him feel a great sense of satisfaction in his heart. Her heart, which had been empty for many years, was filled with warmth. Ha! Ha ha ha! An arrogant smile interrupted Pei Sheng's feelings of being moved in the bottom of his heart. Yu Jiwen pointed at Yi Qing Luo, holding her waist as she laughed out loud. Every time she laughed, her face would turn paler, but she still couldn't stop laughing. 1 year? Little slut, you probably don't know, the auction is going to be held 5 days later. 5 days later, there will be no more Treasures Exchange Hall in Without Embroiling City. Otherwise, do you think Treasures Exchange Hall will cooperate with you? Yu Jiwen's eyes were filled with ridicule. You still want to put the things you stole from Brother Yin over there to trade? That's impossible. Pei Sheng's face suddenly turned pale. His body stiffened and straightened. He bit down hard on his lower lip. He didn't notice that his lip was bitten. Yi Qing Luo's brows sunk slightly. It was such a coincidence that the auction was going to be held 5 days later. Looked like she had planned to slowly help Treasures Exchange Hall to pull in some customers and make a few deals to build up their reputation. This was not going to work. Time was not enough. 5 days' time. Not only to let everyone believe in Treasures Exchange Hall again, to choose Treasures Exchange Hall. She also had to ensure that Treasures Exchange Hall's trading crystals wouldn't be at the bottom. Seeing Yi Qing Luo's expression turning ugly, Qiao Yulu sneered. Miss, I don't want to make things difficult for you. It's still the same as before. I let you go. You let my brother go. What let her go? She made a mess of Without Embroiling City when you first returned. How can we let her leave so easily? Qiao family's patriarch was the first to express his disagreement. City Lord Lu nodded repeatedly. This lady must not be let go. We must investigate her identity clearly. Qiao Yulu didn't respond, and the gaze she gave Yi Qing Luo, it was filled with provocation. Yi Qing Luo smiled to meet her provocation. He didn't seem to be suppressed by Qiao Yulu's aura at all. On the contrary, the aura that he was emanating suppressed Qiao Yulu. Yi Qing Luo smiled faintly, her eyes calm. Then, his gaze swept across the crowd before him. Slowly, he raised a finger. First, I'm not familiar with young Master Qiao. This is only the first time we've met. You don't believe me. Don't tell me you also don't believe young Master Qiao? Her gaze was fixed on the leader's body. Only young Master Qiao himself knows what kind of interest he has in me. Just now, when young Master Chiao spoke up for me. The first master was present, right? The first leader felt a chill run down his spine. Facing the gazes coming from all directions, he did not dare to speak. He looked around for help. Just speak the truth, Qiao Yinyan said indifferently as he met the first head's gaze. The great master's body stiffened, and he immediately lowered his head. Yes. Chapter 3505. Her voice paused slightly. Yiqing Luo looked at Qiao Yinyan calmly. Eldest young Master Qiao, did you say the first sentence between us in front of Zhongcheng Trading Firm's big master? Qiao Yinyan nodded. Yes. Is this the first time I met you? Yiqing Luo continued to ask. Yes. Qiao Yinyan didn't hesitate. It wasn't the first time he met Yiqing Luo, but it was indeed the first time she met him. After asking, Yiqing Luo's gaze swept across the crowd and finally landed on the two powerhouses and Qiao Yilu. You don't believe me. Don't tell me you don't believe your eldest young Master Qiao? Qiao Yilu's pupils shrank as her beautiful eyes flickered. Before she could open her mouth, Yiqing Luo spoke out once again. Don't push any messy charges onto me. You haven't been in without embroiling city for so many years, so it's understandable that you don't know your brother well. But Qiao family head should know eldest young Master Qiao's character very well. Whether I seduced eldest young Master Qiao, or whether eldest young Master Qiao had been bewitched by me till he lost his rationality, Qiao family head should be clear. This sentence once again blocked Qiao Yilu's words. Yiqing Luo originally didn't want to bother with Qiao Yilu and was too lazy to tangle with her. She had never thought of staying in without embroiling City for a long time. But Qiao Yilu and City, Lord Lu, were overbearing. And now she was no longer a person. There was still Pei Sheng, who wanted to protect his own trading house. She didn't mind if he misunderstood her, but she couldn't ruin the reputation of the trading house. The reputation of the trading house was already very bad. If the customers who cooperated with them were all liars, no matter how she tried, there was no way to guarantee that she could turn things around in 5 days. Everything was as Yiqing Luo had expected. Under her sonorous and forceful rebuttal, those people who were pointing and discussing had all quietened down. They all turned their gazes towards Qiao Yilu. That's right, with Princess Yilu around. If that lady really took something from eldest young Master Qiao, how would Princess Yilu not know? Although eldest young Master Qiao's character was more indifferent. But when dealing with people and matters, one had to know when to advance and when to retreat. Alienation was not impolite. He would never lie to the citizens. Especially, everyone knew how much Patriarch Qiao doted on his son. If young Master Qiao was really captivated by a woman, he would be head over heels for her. Patriarch Qiao had long flipped out. How could he still be so calm? The changing gazes of the citizens made Qiao Yilu's face even more livid and gloomy. Her brows were tightly knitted together, and her entire body was trembling. He couldn't believe that he was angered by a little beggar to the point that he couldn't retort. Obviously, they were clearly her family. Why was her big brother unwilling to help her? Her father did not help her either. She was the Empyrean fairy of Without Embroiling City. He was the most respected person in Without Embroiling City. He was the pride of the Qiao family. Qiao Yilu's heart trembled violently. Big sister Yilu, don't be angry. Yu Jiwen looked into Qiao Yilu's eyes and shrunk back in fear. Qiao Yilu's line of sight shifted over. You're asking me not to be angry? How can I not be angry? That gaze was sinister and penetrating. Yu Jiwen was so scared that her face turned pale as she trembled for a while, unable to spit out a single word. Chapter 3506. But your attitude towards Princess Yilu and towards me. City Lord Lu paused slightly. You should apologize to Princess Yilu and me. Yiqing Luo couldn't help but snigger. Just because you say no, I won't mention it. Yi Qing Luo squinted her eyes as she crossed her arms and laughed. Without embroiling cities, mysterious maiden can speak without thinking and slander others? And after being rebutted to the point of speechlessness, you want to brush this matter off. She scoffed lightly. Speaking of apology, shouldn't mysterious maiden apologize for insulting a weak lady's reputation? Following Yi Qing Luo's words, Qiao Yulu and the rest's faces turned ashen. Their eyes were filled with hostility. Yi Qing Luo didn't seem to notice their imposing manner. If you want to get other people's respect, the first thing to do is to respect others. If you want me to apologize, you can. Then, mysterious maiden should first apologize for slandering me and ruining my reputation. Who do you think you are? How dare you ask me to apologize? Qiao Yulu's fingers clenched tightly as her gaze was like a venomous snake, twisting around Yi Qing Luo coldly and cruelly. A burst of dense, profound energy was released from her body. Her sleeves moved, and a surging attack was directed towards Yi Qing Luo's face. Stop! Qiao Yinyan's figure swiftly moved in front of Yi Qing Luo as he raised his arm to block Qiao Yulu's attack. Two majestic air waves blew against Yi Qing Luo's robe. She felt the surrounding air seemed to be squeezed. Her feet, which were stepping on the ground, kept retreating backwards. Bam! A violent explosion was heard. The surrounding air seemed to have been shattered. One could faintly see waves of ripples spreading in all directions. Yi Qing Luo raised her hand to block the piercing, profound ray. After the wave stabilized, she slowly put down her hand. What entered her eyes was a black-robed figure whose face couldn't be seen, clearly standing in front of Qiao Yinyan. One hand blocked Qiao Yulu's attack. The strong wind whistled. It brought along a fishy smell. Everyone's vision was focused on that black-robed man. When their vision touched the huge prison word on the black robe, everyone's expression changed drastically. The citizens screamed in horror and actually began to flee in all directions after seeing the black-robed man clearly. Even Qiao Yulu, who had been blocked, had an extremely ugly expression on her face. Yi Qing Luo walked past Qiao Yinyan and saw the black-robed man. The azure dew bracelet on his wrist transmitted a scorching heat. Underworld Palace. City, Lord Lu sucked in a breath of cold air and stared at the black-robed man with widened eyes. These 3 words caused everyone to unconsciously take a step back, and their expressions changed unpredictably. Qiao Yulu retracted her attacking hands. Her beautiful eyes were piercingly cold as she looked at the black-robed man. Senior from the Underworld Palace, why are you interfering in this junior's matter? The Underworld Palace was a bunch of lunatics who weren't afraid of death. They were a bunch of weirdos. When the people of the Earth Domain saw the Hell Palace, they would take a detour. The people of the Underworld Palace also disdained to have too much contact with others, not to mention meddling in other people's business. Jia, 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 the black-robed man let out a sinister laugh. That voice was hoarse and ear-piercing, with a feeling that made one's scalp go numb. This laugh, the expressions of those who were nearer to him, couldn't help but sunk. The black-robed man laughed and laughed. Suddenly his head jerked up. Under the black robe, an extremely horrifying face was revealed, and that raised hand on the skin were patches of mottled scars. Chapter 3507. You've touched Hell Palace's guest. Of course I have to interfere. The crowd followed the black-robed man's hand and looked towards Yi Qing Luo. Everyone's pupils constricted. Their faces were filled with shock and disbelief. She's Hell Palace's guest? That young lady is related to Hell Palace? Hell Palace's people actually made a move because of her. How is that possible? How could she possibly be related to Hell Palace? This young lady who looked like a beggar actually had a close relationship with Hell Palace. and even made Hell Palace take action for her. This was simply a living series. One must know that the bunch of lunatics in Hell Palace, although they would fight over a single disagreement, but they would absolutely not make a move because of others. It could be said, this was the first time Hell Palace had a guest, and also the first time they made a move for a guest. Although looking at the appearance of both sides, they both looked so sloppy and slovenly. They indeed looked like the same people. But Hell Palace's guest? Hell Palace would have a guest. One must know that in the Earth realm, even the people from Heaven realm didn't want to be involved with Hell Palace. This young girl was actually a guest of the Hell Palace. Everyone's faces were filled with astonishment. Xiao Yulu's face turned steely green from the black-robed man's words. She pursed her lips as her beautiful eyes shot towards Yi Qing Luo as she frowned. Could Hell Palace Senior have recognized the wrong person? Will I recognize the wrong person? The black-robed man laughed sinisterly as he turned back and struck a palm towards Xiao Yulu. The boundless energy caused the surrounding ground to split open. Xiao Yulu had not expected the black-robed man to make a move just like that. Her expression changed immediately as she speedily gathered her profound energy to block the black-robed man's attack. No matter how fast her reaction was, Xiao Yulu was still forced to retreat several steps by this ferocious force. At this moment, Patriarch Xiao and City Lord Lu's figures flashed as they speedily stood in front of Xiao Yulu. Both of their faces were filled with solemn vigilance. Profound energy was unleashed from both of them. Hell Palace, we have always minded our own business. Why did you attack our Empyrean fairy today? City Lord Lu's face was grave as he asked in a deep voice. The black-robed man twisted his neck. The terrifying face under the black robe was faintly discernible. His mouth was still emitting that kind of evil laughter. It was so cold that it made one's scalp go numb. Didn't I say it already? She was the one who attacked first. She wanted to harm the guests of Underworld Palace. The black-robed man cast a sidelong glance at City Lord Lu without any scruples. Injuring a guest of my Underworld Palace is equivalent to offending my Underworld Palace. I wonder how the City Lord of Without Embroiling City will bear the wrath of the Underworld Palace? Governor Lu's face darkened. He gritted his teeth, but did not respond to the black-robed man's words. He exchanged a look with Xiao Clanhead. He could see a hint of fear in the other party's eyes. It wasn't that they were weaker than the Underworld Palace. Instead, they had more misgivings than the Underworld Palace. The Underworld Palace was filled with a bunch of lunatics. He was a lunatic who did not care about his own life at all. Moreover, those lunatics had all cultivated evil arts that were not tolerated by the world. They were neither human nor ghost. If they really wanted to go against the Hell Palace had no scruples at all. They did not care about Without Embroiling City at all. It was silent for several breaths. Patriarch Xiao looked at the black-robed man for a long time. He seemed to have made up his mind. He retracted the flames all over his body and took a step forward. Chapter 3508. Young lady, I didn't expect you to be a guest from Hell Manor. Patriarch Xiao looked at Yi Qing Luo with a complicated gaze. He then looked at Xiao Yinyan. Seeing that Xiao Yinyan's face was also filled with shock, it was unknown what kind of expression he was showing. He also knew that his son didn't know about the relationship between Yi Qing Luo and the Hell Palace. He sighed to himself. He should have noticed that this woman's temperament was different from ordinary people. He should have known that she was different from ordinary people. However, it was rare for his son to be so protective of a girl, the other side. Yi Qing Luo was stunned by the sudden change and stared straight at the direction of the black-robed man. She narrowed her eyes. His eyelashes were also trembling slightly. Why would someone from the Underworld Palace be here? And for her, he even fought with Xiao Yulu? One had to know. Previously, because of the evil tyrant of the Hell Palace and the use of the Palace of Gloomy Darkness, the two sides had been in constant conflict. After that, she followed Ah Xian to the Hell Palace. When she was looking for someone to settle scores with, she caused a huge ruckus in the Hell Palace. He even killed a few people from the Underworld Palace. After seeing her, wouldn't the people of Hell Palace hate her to death? Although it was for Ah Xian's sake, the people from the Underworld Palace might not dare to touch her, but he would never help her, right? Yi Qing Luo expressed her stupefaction, but no matter if Yi Qing Luo was stunned or not. In short, after the people from the Underworld Palace expressed their stance, all kinds of gazes shifted away from her. Even City Lord Lu, Qiao Yulu, and the others, when they looked at Yi Qing Luo, bore a sliver of fear. Family Patriarch Qiao saw that Yi Qing Luo wasn't replying for a long time and had no intention to respond to him. He continued, "Little girl, for Yinyan's sake, how about we stop today's matter here?" Then he glanced at Qiao Yinyan. "Father." Qiao Yulu opened her mouth to speak, but just as he shouted those two words, he was forced back by the sharp gaze of clan head Qiao. Qiao Yinyan's expression finally changed a little. He met Patriarch Qiao's gaze and looked him in the eye. His expression was indescribable. Patriarch Qiao frowned. He decisively gave up the idea of letting his own son help to persuade Yi Qing Luo. City Lord Lu, who was by the side, saw that after Family Patriarch Qiao voiced out, Yi Qing Luo didn't show any intention to rebuke him, and the black-robed man didn't have any reaction. As the lord of a city, he was naturally unwilling to fall behind. That's right, Miss. Today is the day that Princess Yulu returns to Without Embroiling City. It's also a big day for Without Embroiling City. Since you're already in Without Embroiling City, you can be considered a part of it. It's rare for a senior from the Hell Palace to show up. This is good news on top of good news. Let's let bygones be bygones. When Yi Qing Luo heard that, her long and narrow eyes rose slightly. Seeing that she was moved, City Lord Lu thought that Yi Qing Luo was moved because of his words. In order to welcome Princess Yu Lu back to the city, this city lord and Qiao family head have specially prepared a banquet. This city lord sincerely invites Miss Yu Lu and the Underworld Palace's seniors to come with us. If there are any misunderstandings, we can settle them all at the banquet. City Lord Lu had a gentle and refined smile on his face. Patriarch Qiao had a complicated look on his face. His lips moved, but he didn't say anything in the end. Qiao Yulu's expression was extremely unfriendly when she heard all these. A cold glint faintly appeared in her sinister, beautiful eyes. Chapter 3509. It was fine if Yu Jiwen didn't speak. The minute she opened her mouth, it made Qiao Yulu vent all her anger on Qiao Yulu. "You ask me what to do, how would I know? If you hadn't spouted nonsense in front of me, I wouldn't be so embarrassed." Saying that, Qiao Yulu raised her hand and gave Yu Jiwen a tight slap. Qiao Yulu's resentful slap naturally didn't hold back. This slap went down. Half of Yu Jiwen's face turned red and swollen. Her delicate body was sent flying and fell to the ground. "Princess Yulu." Lord Qiao's expression changed as he cried out Qiao Yulu's name. He frowned, extremely dissatisfied with Qiao Yulu's actions. However, City Lord Lu seemed to have found the best excuse as he took quick steps forward, blocking in front of Qiao Yulu as he gave an amiable smile towards Qiao Yulu. "Young lady, you've heard it too. All this is because of Third Miss Yu, who is trying to sow discord." Princess Yu Lu returned to Without Embroiling City after leaving home, so she was easily deceived by Third Miss Yu. City Lord Lu pushed Yu Jiwen out without hesitation. In this Without Embroiling City, no one could match Mysterious Fairy's prestige. Yu family wouldn't be willing to offend Mysterious Fairy and the Lu family just for a third Mississippi City, Lord Lu said. "I will definitely teach Third Miss Yu a lesson, to warn the citizens of Without Embroiling City not to spout nonsense and slander others." Yi Qing Luo looked at him indifferently, still not saying a word. City Lord Lu, who didn't get any response, seemed to be used to Yiqing Luo's coldness as he continued, "Don't stand here." After that, he waved to Qiao Yulu. "Brother Qiao, let Princess Yulu bring Miss back to the Qiao family first. Let's go to the banquet together." Qiao Yulu didn't move. The scene was awkward. City Lord Lu was acting on his own, and no one responded to him. At the end of his sentence, he shut his mouth and did not say anything else out of embarrassment. The entire exchange, hall's entrance. Silence. There was only Yu Jiwen's soft sobs and hoarse begging for mercy. After a long time, the scene was awkward. With her arms crossed over her chest, the girl with a calm expression finally reacted. Her long and narrow eyes curved into crescents as she met City Lord Lu's slightly joyful gaze. "When did I agree to have a banquet with you?" The smile on City Lord Lu's face instantly froze. Yiqing Luo tilted her head, and even though her face was stained with mud, it wasn't hard to see the ridicule on her face. Whether or not it's the Empyrean fairies first returned to Without Embroiling City has nothing to do with me. Don't associate me with her in any way. Don't play a game of letting go of all enmity with a smile. Anyone can see that she and I are disgusted with each other. Don't say anything. I'm in Without Embroiling City, so I'm a part of it. With such a vicious and narrow-minded Empyrean fairy as the guardian of Without Embroiling City, I can't rest easy. Perhaps she, the Empyrean fairy, will make a move on me without my knowledge. I value my life very much." Yiqing Luo spoke one sentence after another. The contempt in her eyes and the ridicule in her tone were obvious. Lastly, Yiqing Luo suddenly raised her voice. "If Without Embroiling City wants to build a relationship with the Hell Palace, then think of a way to fight for it yourself. Trying to make use of her to build a relationship with the Hell Palace? Inviting them to attend the banquet to welcome the Empyrean fairy? Not afraid that the Hell Palace's madman would go crazy and directly start a massacre at the banquet." Chapter 35:10. You. City Lord Lu's face turned steely green, totally not expecting Yiqing Luo to not give him any face at all. He clenched his fists tightly, and his eyes were filled with sharpness. His gentle and refined face was somewhat distorted. Yiqing Luo had no doubt that if the Hell Palace's men weren't around, City Lord Lu would absolutely tear her apart. For the time being, Lin Mingya could not care less about the reason why the people from the Underworld Palace would step forward to help her. Currently, there were people from the Underworld Palace present. The major factions of Without Embroiling City would still be wary of her. TSK, back then, DMO Xian brought her along to wreak havoc in the Underworld Palace. He didn't hesitate at all. At that time, she even suspected that the legend of the Underworld Palace was fake. Now he saw with his own eyes how much the people of the Earth realm feared the Hell Palace. Xian was indeed too powerful. Yiqing Luo loosened her arms, and her gaze swept towards Qiao Yinyan, who was standing by her side, and Patriarch Qiao, who had a complicated expression on his face. She curled her lips and said indifferently, however, for the sake of Patriarch Qiao and young Master Qiao, I can pretend that today's matter never happened. Qiao Yinyan's eyes moved as he stared blankly at Yiqing Luo. Governor Lu's face turned increasingly ugly. Yiqing Luo's words had indeed given Qiao family enough face, but it was also a slap to the face of the city lord, especially when Yiqing Luo was a guest of the Hell Palace. Their current attitude represented the attitude of the Underworld Palace. City Lord Lu's eyes suddenly flashed with a trace of darkness. Although he was known as the Lord of the City, he was still a city lord. However, they had always been suppressed by the number one family, the Qiao family, because the Qiao clan wasn't just a clan of profounders. Qiao Yinyan, a 19-year-old genius who had reached the 15th stage of the sage profound realm and was on the verge of becoming a god. He had even groomed the Empyrean fairy of Without Embroiling City. The status of the Empyrean fairy could be said to be above him, the city lord. City Lord Lu had always been suppressed by the Qiao family to the point that he could hardly breathe. Now that Yi Qing Luo represented Hell Palace's attitude, City Lord Lu could only feel that his status was slowly collapsing. The fear in his heart was also gradually growing. His gaze was fixated on Yi Qing Luo. He could tell, whether it was Qiao Yinyan or the seniors of the Underworld Palace, they were all based on Yi Qing Luo's attitude. Just like now, no matter what Yi Qing Luo said or did, no one from the Underworld Palace obstructed them in the slightest. Someone who was respectfully addressed as a guest by the Underworld Palace. His status must be extraordinary. City Lord Lu's eyes flickered incessantly. He pursed his lips and restrained his voice as he said in a low voice, "Miss, it's better to leave some leeway in everything so that we can meet in the future." After all, the young lady had already cooperated with the treasure trading house, hadn't she? Even if it's for the sake of gathering treasures, you still have to stay in without embroiling City. I can provide you with a lot of help in all aspects. His words were full of threats and promises. As he spoke, he looked at Pei Sheng. Pei Sheng had never experienced something like this before. He was surrounded by a few major factions, and all sorts of auras pressed down on him. He was already feeling uneasy about being eliminated. At this moment, City Lord Lu looked at him sternly. He felt even more pressured. The smile in Castellan Lu's eyes deepened when he saw Pei Sheng's reaction. He could tell Yi Qing Luo's attitude towards Pei Sheng was very friendly. If he couldn't start from Yi Qing Luo's side, then he would start with Pei Sheng. Chapter 35:11. These words sounded like encouragement, but the underlying meaning was obviously a threat to Pei Sheng. If Yi Qing Luo still didn't give him the city lord face, then he would interfere in this auction. Pei Sheng's face turned green and white. His hands, which were hanging by his sides, tightly gripped his robe. His face was filled with anger as he stared angrily at City Lord Lu. That black pupils overflowed with anger, as though it was accusing City Lord Lu's shamelessness. Facing Pei Sheng's gaze, City Lord Lu's heart didn't waver at all. His lips still had a refined and elegant smile. In this case, City Lord wants to help the Treasures Exchange Hall to obtain the honor of the best exchange hall in the auction. Yi Qing Luo patted Pei Sheng's shoulder as she stood in front of him, meeting City Lord Lu's gaze. Her lips curled into a faint smile. Her long and narrow eyes, in between the faint smile, were sparkling with radiance. It was impossible to tell what she was thinking from her face and expression. City Lord Lu's brows twitched. Best exchange hall's honor? Yi Qing Luo smiled. Don't tell me City Lord Lu and Boss Pei didn't mean that? City Lord Lu's expression changed. He was obviously talking about protecting the Treasures Exchange Hall's reputation. As long as this year's auction didn't end up at the bottom, the Treasures Exchange Hall's reputation could be protected. When did he say that he wanted to help the Treasures Exchange Hall to obtain the honor of the best exchange hall? That honor was the most glorious honor in the entire exchange hall, competing on the exchange hall which had the most transactions in the auction. The Treasures Exchange Hall hadn't opened for business in the past 5 years. And to obtain the honor of the best exchange hall? What kind of joke was that? Is City Lord so insincere? Or should I say, City Lord isn't sincere in helping the Treasures Exchange Hall? Yi Qing Luo saw that he didn't say a word and asked with a smile. City Lord Lu's brows creased even tighter. He vaguely felt that the young lady's words must have dug some pit and was waiting for him. But he thought about it carefully several times. He didn't think of anything. The deeper meaning in the young lady's words. He hesitated for a moment before answering. Since you and the seniors from the Hell Palace were able to attend the banquet to welcome the mystic fairy of Without Embroiling City, you can be considered a part of Without Embroiling City. As long as Miss says it, I will do my best to do it. He also did not directly say that he would definitely help Treasure Gathering Club win the honor of the best trading house. Instead, he extended an olive branch once again while testing the waters. Yi Qing Luo's lips curled upwards as she gave an exceptionally radiant smile. That pair of curved and enchanting eyes curved into a demonic arc city. Lord Lu's heart skipped a beat. He heard the girl's clear and melodious voice, which seemed to be right in front of him. I thought that the city lord was wholeheartedly standing on the side of the Empyrean fairy. I didn't expect that the city lord would try his best to help me, even though you know that the relationship between me and the Empyrean fairy is not friendly. Isn't the city lord afraid of disappointing the Empyrean fairy? City Lord Lu's gentle smile froze on his face. His pupils constricted as he turned around to look at Xiao Yilu. Xiao Yilu's face was gloomy, and her beautiful eyes were filled with a bone-chilling ruthlessness. His eyes were overflowing with hostility, like two sharp blades, fiercely pierced into City Lord Lu's body, even though it was covered with a veil. City Lord Lu could clearly see how distorted Xiao Yilu's contour under the veil was. Damn it! Chapter 35:12. City Lord Lu's forehead was filled with cold sweat. Xiao Yilu had totally treated Yi Qing Luo as her nemesis, towards everything that was related to Yi Qing Luo. Xiao Yilu couldn't stand it, especially when it was about to close down, but still dared to stand out and slap her face in front of without embroiling city citizens. Xiao Yilu couldn't wait for the treasures exchange to disappear completely from this auction. He actually wanted to regain his face from Yi Qing Luo, going against Xiao Yilu's wishes, and still wanted to help the treasures exchange. Wasn't this a slap on Xiao Yilu's face? His back turned cold as his face congealed as he straightened his back and shouted angrily, "My motive is to protect without embroiling city's peace and harmony is the most important thing in all matters." He paused for a moment and gave a cold snort. "Since Miss doesn't like me and I can't satisfy Miss's appetite, then I won't force you. City Lord does know his own limits." Yi Qing Luo laughed lightly. People who know their limits usually don't die so quickly. City Lord Lu's expression was extremely ugly as he stared angrily at Yi Qing Luo. As for Xiao Yilu, she suddenly raised her head and used a pair of vicious eyes to look at Yi Qing Luo as her chest heaved up and down violently. These words were what she said when she intentionally humiliated Yi Qing Luo. Yi Qing Luo was now using these words to rebuke City Lord Lu. It was obvious that she was provoking her. "Since this matter has come to an end, then, can you give way now?" Yi Qing Luo raised her brows as she asked with a smile which didn't look like a smile. City Lord Lu looked towards Xiao Yilu. Xiao Yilu's gaze was sinister as she gave off a furious aura. City Lord Lu naturally didn't dare to open his mouth to ask for her opinion. After a moment of silence, Yi Qing Luo raised her wrist as her slender fingers caressed her chin. Her curved eyes were filled with endless ridicule. "Why? I've already given Xiao family's face to let go of your pestering me previously. Your so-called apology, smiling away enmity, etc. I don't need it." Saying this, she paused for a moment. Her gaze fell onto City Lord Lu. The deep meaning in her eyes was even more ridiculing. "Therefore, in order to get the mystic fairy to give way, I still have to go to the Treasures Exchange Hall and trade with Boss Pei." These words were obviously mocking City Lord Lu. A dignified City Lord was actually unable to make any decisions. He still had to look at Xiao Yilu's expression. It was just a face-to-face encounter. Yi Qing Luo had already deeply understood City Lord Lu's character. Proud and arrogant, but timid and afraid of trouble. He was afraid that if he offended the Empyrean maiden of without embroiling City, his position as City Lord would become unstable. But at the same time, he hated Xiao Yilu for disrespecting him. Yi Qing Luo was just a simple hint. Castellan Lu had already imagined a whole bunch of things in his mind. He was even more dissatisfied with Xiao Yilu. Yi Qing Luo only wanted to say that she had placed herself in a servile position right from the start. When facing Qiao Yilu, then he would be inferior. It was no wonder that Qiao Yilu looked down on him. City Lord Lu's face turned black. Are you so sure that after the cooperation between you and the Treasures Exchange Hall is successful, it will really help the Treasures Exchange Hall? Yi Qing Luo tilted her head. In this way, City Lord is intending to secretly deal with the Treasures Exchange Hall during the auction? She blinked her eyes as her long and thick eyelashes fluttered like a butterfly's wings. It made that young lady's seductive eyes looked even clearer and brighter. Chapter 35:13. Since when did I say that I will interfere with the auction? City Lord Lu retorted sharply. Yi Qing Luo's brows rose. Oh? That means to say, City Lord will absolutely not do anything to the Treasures Exchange Hall secretly? I'm not that low class. City Lord Lu's face was steely green. Yi Qing Luo's smile widened. That's great, since City Lord is in front of the citizens of Without Wong City to make this promise. I hope that City Lord will keep your promise and not do anything that will hurt City Lord's prestige because of your personal feelings. City Lord Lu's fists were clenched tightly. The refined smile on his face was extremely stiff. This slut actually dug a pit for him in her words. Yi Qing Luo's words were obviously tying him and the Treasures Exchange Hall together. If any accident happened to the Treasures Exchange Hall, no matter if it was his doing or not, this debt would probably be placed on him as the City Lord. In this way, in order to protect the City Lord's prestige and integrity, not only could he not do anything to the Treasures Exchange Hall secretly, he had to try his best to protect the Treasures Exchange Hall and not let others do anything to it. The more he thought about it, the faster City Lord Lu's heart beat. Perhaps even Qiao Yilu would not trust him anymore. This move was really brilliant. It directly cut off all his escape routes. City Lord Lu's eyes were hazy as it flashed past, but on the surface he still forcefully maintained a smile. That's natural, as long as the Treasures Exchange Hall follows the auction's rules and properly prepare the auction items. Nothing else will happen to the Treasures Exchange Hall. Yi Qing Luo shrugged her shoulders. Who knows? After all, 5 years ago, some bad things happened. Her words, which had a hidden meaning, made the expressions of the few present turn ugly. Pei Sheng also raised his head in a daze as his entire body turned stiff. Yi Qing Luo's gaze was like a torch as it went past the crowd and stared straight at Zhongcheng Exchange Hall's first master. A smile blossomed on his lips, in order for the history from 5 years ago not to repeat itself. I hope City Lord can strengthen the security of the various trading houses, in case those trading houses with ill intentions secretly do something. In the end, it would disgrace City Lord's prestige. First Master's face suddenly turned pale. What are you hinting at? Qiao Yilu couldn't take it anymore as she berated him. Yi Qing Luo's smile remained unchanged. Mysterious maiden should be clear about this. Are you that confident that the Treasures Exchange House will be able to obtain the best honor in this auction? Qiao Yilu looked at her coldly. Yi Qing Luo nodded with a smile. Of course. Looks like you're really confident. Qiao Yilu's slightly cold gaze flickered with light. According to what Miss is saying, if the Treasures Exchange House can't obtain the best honor, then it means that someone has done something in the dark, that City Lord Lu is narrow-minded and can't tolerate the Treasures Exchange House. Yi Qing Luo nodded as a matter of course. To be more precise, if treasure gathering doesn't get the best honor, not only will I suspect City Lord Lu, but I will also suspect without embroiling City's mysterious maiden. You. Qiao Yilu's eyes widened. Shameless. Yi Qing Luo shook her head smilingly. This is called self-confidence. All right, very good. Qiao Yilu took a deep breath as she gritted her teeth and stared angrily at Yi Qing Luo. Since you're so confident, then let me see where the capital for your confidence lies. She raised her hand and pointed at Yi-Ching Luo. Let's make a bet, do you dare? Chapter 35:14. A glint flashed past Xiao Yulu's eyes. The best trading house is set by you yourself. You can't go back on your words. Either you don't fight, or you must get the best honor. Yi-Ching Luo tilted her head and looked at Pei Sheng. Do you have confidence? Pei Sheng was startled, and his heart thumped like a drum. Best trading house? He didn't even dare to think about it. He only wanted to not be at the bottom and only wanted to protect the reputation of the Treasures Exchange Hall. But when the young lady's smiling eyes looked at him, for some unknown reason, an inexplicable power suddenly surged in his heart. It made his eyes unknowingly become firm. Yes, he heard himself spitting out a sonorous and powerful word. The boiling blood in his chest had not stopped. He could feel the hot blood flowing through his limbs and bones, constantly penetrating through every corner of his body. It made him feel as though he had been reborn. Confidence, absolute confidence, or not fight. If he wanted to fight, he must fight to the best. Pei Sheng's eyes were shining brightly. Yi-Ching Luo smiled. Her eyes were filled with encouragement. After that, when Yi-Ching Luo's gaze shifted away and landed on Xiao Yilu, Pei Sheng could obviously feel that her aura had undergone an earth-shattering change. It was different from the gentleness when facing him, but an extremely sharp aura. It was on par with Xiao Yilu. How do you want to bet? Yi-Ching Luo's lips curled as she asked with a faint smile. Xiao Yilu raised her chin as her beautiful eyes were piercingly cold. If the Treasures Exchange Hall is unable to get the best honor, then you lose. Yi-Ching Luo nodded. No problem. If you lose, the Treasures Exchange Hall will remove its signboard, and everyone in the Treasures Exchange Hall will have to leave without embroiling city. Xiao Yulu's voice was ruthless, arrogant, and complacent. As for you, let me deal with you, without any complaints. How about that? Yi-Ching Luo paused slightly. Xiao Yulu was overbearing. Why? Don't dare? Yi-Ching Luo ignored her as she looked at Pei Sheng and asked with a smile, Are you willing? Pei Sheng looked at the girl in front of him, who could change her aura mode at any time. He pursed his lips and nodded hard. I believe you. Get an accurate answer. Yi-Ching Luo smiled as she looked at Xiao Yilu. I agree to your conditions. After she had finished her sentence, the crowd was in an uproar. Xiao Yinyan couldn't stand it any longer. He quickly stepped forward and said, Miss, this is just a competition in the auction. Even if it's a bet, you shouldn't be the one betting. Chung Min and the others all had complicated expressions on their faces. Let Xiao Yilu do as she pleases? Anyone could imagine what the consequences would be. Xiao Yilu would absolutely make Yi-Ching Luo suffer a fate worse than death. The black-robed man from the underworld palace also strode forward. His terrifying face was filled with a sinister aura. Isn't your tone a little too big? You can do whatever you want to the guests of the underworld palace. But have you asked for the underworld palace's opinion? The black-robed man from the Hell sect stepped forward. The atmosphere of the entire scene froze once again. Xiao Yilu looked at the black-robed man with an ugly expression. Biting her lower lip, she said, I've lost the bet. Since she agreed to this bet, she should understand the dangers involved. Her voice paused as she narrowed her beautiful eyes. Or could it be that Senior from the Hell sect feels that she will definitely lose? You dare to question me? The black-robed man who didn't know the ways of the world was interrogated by Xiao Yilu. The murderous intent in his eyes grew thicker. Chapter 35:15. Old Lie. A young lady's clear voice was heard from behind. The black-robed man's action paused as he slowly turned around and looked at the young lady. The black-robed man was none other than the person whom Yi-Ching Luo had met in the Hell Palace previously. His name was Old Lie, if she didn't remember wrongly. Old Lie had some prestige in the Hell Palace. She had not expected him to appear in without embroiling city. Di fu! Old Lai had just opened his mouth when he saw Yi Qing Luo's slightly cold gaze. He changed the subject and said, Mississippi. Yi Qing Luo's lips curled up slightly as she smiled faintly. Since this is the bet that I agreed to, it is reasonable for mysterious maiden to raise any request. I have no reason to reject. Miss? Old Lai's expression changed as he glanced at Xiao Yilu. Yi Qing Luo smiled at him. I will not lose. Seeing Yi Qing Luo's insistence, Old Lai didn't say anything else. He angrily lowered his hand and stared fiercely at Xiao Yilu. But it wasn't like before, filled with murderous intent. This scene made everyone's heart beat like a drum. They had not expected. That little girl, who looked like a beggar, was actually able to easily persuade the madman of the underworld palace, and even made him obedient? Everyone's gaze towards Yi Qing Luo was filled with astonishment. All right, this is what you agreed to personally. Xiao Yilu saw that Yi Qing Luo had already relented and didn't care what Old Lai's attitude was as she immediately grabbed hold of Yi Qing Luo's words and shouted anxiously, Everyone heard it clearly. You agreed to my request. Yes, I agreed to it personally. Yi Qing Luo raised her brows as her narrow eyes shone with a crafty arc. Then, it's my turn to raise my request. Xiao Yilu's complacent expression froze. The smile on her lips slowly faded. The other citizens' hearts were also beating like drums. The bet was mutual. Princess Yilu's request was too ruthless. Then that Hell Palace's young lady would definitely not be outdone. Say it. After a moment of silence, Xiao Yilu clenched her teeth as she spat out two words. Yi Qing Luo's slender fingers stroked her chin. He then looked at Pei Sheng and asked, What request do you think I should make? Pei Sheng's entire body was trembling. She was scared, excited, and excited. His voice trembled as he said, I don't know. Miss, whatever you want, I can. Yi Qing Luo breathed out a stream of air, deliberately lengthening it. This caused the atmosphere to become increasingly tense. Even Xiao Yilu's expression became more and more solemn. It was clearly impossible for the treasure's gathering house to obtain the honor of the best trading house in the auction. She would never lose this bet. But unfortunately, under the heavy atmosphere created by Yi Qing Luo, the pressure that Xiao Yilu was under was getting greater and greater. Just as his uneasy heart was about to explode, that settled then. Yi Qing Luo's voice finally rang. She said, If treasure gathering wins the best honor, then I'll consider it my win. If I win, I want you, the Empyrean Fairy, to kneel down and shout 3 times in front of all the citizens of Without Embroiling City that you're trash. Finishing this sentence, Yi Qing Luo didn't say another word. The crowd waited for some time with a dazed expression. Xiao Yilu was also stunned. That's it. Chapter 35:16. Xiao Yilu's expression was strange. Are you sure you only have this request? Yi Qing Luo nodded calmly. Of course I'm sure. This is merely a bet in the exchange hall. I'm such a beautiful and kind person. Why would I take advantage of the situation to hurt you and make things difficult for you? Her tone was very calm and there weren't any excess emotions. However, Xiao Yilu understood the meaning behind her words, especially after the citizens heard Yi Qing Luo's words. Their gazes were all different as they looked at her. Xiao Yilu's entire face turned black. What do you mean? Yi Qing Luo blinked and replied innocently, What can I mean? You. Xiao Yilu clenched her fingers tightly as she gritted her teeth to suppress the anger in her. She would only be at a disadvantage if she were to argue with Yi Qing Luo. Damn slut. She actually used this kind of method to embarrass her. Yi Qing Luo's words were obviously ridiculing her for taking advantage of the situation to hurt others. Not beautiful enough, not kind enough, and a narrow-minded, extremely vicious woman. Why are you staring at me with such a fierce gaze? Yi Qing Luo blinked her big eyes. Could it be? Mysterious maiden is not satisfied with my request? Or mysterious maiden is afraid of losing? Let's bet, don't regret it. Xiao Yulu gritted her teeth. Yi Qing Luo's eyes curved into crescents as she smiled. I hope you are willing to admit defeat. I'll return the same words to you. Don't ask for help from the Hell Palace by then and refuse to comply with our bet. Xiao Yulu sneered. Yi Qing Luo replied, in front of so many citizens and without embroiling city, I believe mysterious maiden will not do anything to avoid the bet and do something shameless. Both sides were aggressive, and neither was willing to take a step back. Cuff. City Lord Lu looked at Yi Qing Luo and then looked at Xiao Yulu as he put on a smiling face. Since both parties have already set the bet, this city lord shall be the witness. Xiao Yulu heard that and strode over. Me too. City Lord Lu took a look at Xiao Yulu as his expression changed slightly, but very quickly he smiled again. Then this city lord and brother Xiao shall be the witness together. Yi Qing Luo and Xiao Yulu exchanged glances. I have no objections. At this moment, because of the aggressive bet between the two of them, this caused more and more citizens to gather around. The citizens that had been scared away by the appearance of the people from the underworld palace had all returned. The atmosphere was high. It had already reached this point. There was probably no one who did not know about the bet between the two of them. City Lord Lu seemed to have thought of something. During the auction, will the seniors of the underworld palace also stay behind? Yi Qing Luo didn't reply, but looked towards Old Lai. Lao Lai's eyes widened. Of course I want to accompany the emperor, to accompany the young lady. I don't want you to bully the guests of the underworld palace just because you have more people. City Lord Lu raised his eyebrows in delight. Xiao Yulu, on the other hand, looked a little terrible. City Lord Lu rolled his eyes a few times, thinking about something in his heart. Finally, as if he had made a decision, he smiled and cupped his hands at Old Lai. During this period of time, why don't the two of you stay at the Lu family? Although my house is small, it has everything you need. I'm sure you'll be satisfied. As soon as he finished speaking, Xiao Yulu released a chill from her body. City Lord Lu. Her cold voice was laced with suppressed anger. Chapter 35:17. In other words, he was saying, once the Treasures Exchange Hall didn't obtain the honor of the best exchange hall, Yi Qing Luo would have no excuse to push the blame onto them. So she couldn't pester endlessly to find an excuse for losing the bet. After hearing City Lord Lu's refined smile and shameless words, Yi Qing Luo wanted to give a thumbs up for City Lord Lu's quick-wittedness. After finding out that Old Lai would stay in without embroiling City, she passionately invited her to stay at the Lu family. Then, what if Old Lai didn't intend to stay? City Lord Lu's attitude. Would there be a 180-degree change? Wanting to hug Hell Palace's thigh, but unwilling to part with Xiao Yulu's thigh. Still trying to please both sides? Was there a need to be so greedy? Did she treat everyone as fools? Hugging someone's thigh was too obvious, all right. It was easy to offend both sides, all right. As expected, Xiao Yulu's expression turned even uglier. But even if she understood City Lord Lu's true meaning, however, he had to admit that what City Lord Lu had said was reasonable. Xiao Yulu's expression was unfriendly. Then it's decided, but I have another request. Everyone looked at her in unison, waiting for her next sentence. Xiao Yulu's eyes flashed. This auction is a competition between various large exchange halls. I will not interfere in the transactions and auctions of Zhongcheng Exchange. Then, I have the right to request that the seniors from Hell Palace must not help Treasures Exchange Hall. When everyone heard that, they all nodded their heads in understanding, although they didn't approve of Xiao Yulu's action of blocking the other party's way. But they also understood Xiao Yulu's misgivings. Hell Palace was filled with a bunch of unorthodox lunatics who cultivated in evil arts. For so many years, they had been roaming around various places. They would definitely have many rare treasures on them. If the Underworld Palace were to place all these rare items in the Treasure Gathering Hall, Treasures Exchange Hall might not necessarily lose. After all, to be able to enter the eyes of a bunch of lunatics from Hell Palace, and to be collected by them, any one of them could make all the cultivators go crazy. Everyone could tell. Xiao Yulu had no intention to let Yi Qing Luo off. In order to prevent Hell Palace from interfering, she made use of this bet. Although the people of Chengmin all believed that the strong were respected and strength was supreme. But to the Empyrean Fairy of Without Embroiling City, deep in their hearts, they still refused. Everyone could see that. The Empyrean Maiden of Without Embroiling City was extremely arrogant and looked down on everyone else. He was especially narrow-minded. He would do anything to deal with those who angered him. The citizens of the small city were trembling in fear. In the future, if he saw the Empyrean Fairy, it would be better to take a detour. What the F***CK are you talking about? Old Lai exploded. Why can't I cooperate with treasure gathering? Why can't I go to the Treasures Exchange Hall to bid for things? Could it be that I'm not from the Earth domain? Old Lai was furious. His aura became more and more terrifying. Xiao Yulu looked at Old Lai and slowly took 2 steps back. I am only striving for fairness. Everyone knows that the Hell Palace doesn't lack treasures or crystals. If the Hell Palace were to make a move, wouldn't we be helping the Treasure Gathering Hall to cheat? Lao Lai's eyes widened. I am. Yi Qing Luo raised her hand and placed it on Old Lai's shoulder, preventing him from being carried on by Xiao Yulu. Chapter 3518. Miss. Old Lai really didn't understand. That woman was obviously making things difficult. Why did Imperial Madam still agree to everything? She was the Overlord's wife. Why did she have to suffer such grievances? Yi Qing Luo waved her hand, indicating for him to calm down. Then she looked at Xiao Yulu. Hell Palace will absolutely not intervene, and I hope Mysterious Fairy can do it. Xiao family will also not intervene in the competition between the trading houses. Xiao Yulu raised her chin and said proudly, I will wait and see. Then she flicked her sleeves. Let's go! After Xiao Yulu turned around and left. The citizens on both sides of the street secretly heaved a sigh of relief, not knowing why. When facing Xiao Yulu, it was even more hair-raising than facing the people from Hell Palace. This auction will definitely be the most lively one in Without Embroiling City in many years. City Lord Lu said cheerfully to ease the atmosphere. How can it not be lively? Qiao Yinyan looked at City Lord Lu with a slightly sunken face. City Lord Lu is really scheming. To think that a junior would say that he was a schemer in front of all the citizens. City Lord Lu's face immediately turned ugly. Qiao Yinyan's thin lips twitched as he sneered. Treasure Exchange House, which has been at the bottom for 4 consecutive years, competing with Sincerity Exchange House, which has been the best trading house for 4 consecutive years. Just this point alone will create a huge momentum for Without Embroiling City. City Lord Lu should have already calculated in your heart. City Lord Lu was stunned. Qiao Yinyan continued to sneer. The 2 sides competing, one is Without Embroiling City's Mysterious Fairy, the other is a guest from Hell Palace, and with the senior from Hell Palace here. This gimmick will attract many citizens to come to Without Embroiling City to participate in the auction. City Lord Lu should have a rough estimate in your heart, right? Aye. City Lord Lu hurriedly looked at Old Lai. Seeing that there was no change in Old Lai and Yi Qing Luo's expressions, he tried his best to calm his tone. Young Master Qiao, the matter of the competition, whether it is a gimmick or not, was decided by Princess Yulu and this lady personally. I have never interfered. Moreover, Without Embroiling City can attract the citizens of the other 2 cities. This is beneficial to Without Embroiling City and beneficial to Chiao family. City Lord Lu paused, then raised his voice and deliberately added a hint of suspicion to his tone. Young Master Chiao, could it be that you don't want the citizens of other cities to come to Without Embroiling City? It's not that I don't want to, but I don't like the way you use others to build support for Without Embroiling City, Chiao Yinyan replied without giving him any face. City Lord Lu's face was extremely dark. Chiao family head didn't want to fall out with the Lu family just yet, so he stepped forward and pulled Chiao Yinyan back. Then he looked at City Lord Lu and said, Brother Lu, the auction will be held in 5 days. During this time, Without Embroiling City will definitely be bustling. When that time comes, we'll have to rely on you, Brother Lu. As the lord of a city, please take good care of us. Upon hearing this, City Lord Lu's expression became slightly better. But, Brother Lu, there's something I need to discuss with you. Patriarch Chiao pushed his son, pushing him towards Yi Qing Luo's direction. Chiao Yinyan staggered a little, but he managed to steady himself when he was still 2 steps away from Yi Qing Luo. City Lord Lu seemed to have realized something, and his expression changed. Chapter 35:19. No way. City Lord Lu vehemently objected. In order to prove my fairness, Miss and the Hell Palace's senior staying in the Lu residence is the best choice. Brother Lu, don't misunderstand. I'm doing this because... Before Patriarch Chiao could finish his words, he was firmly interrupted by City Lord Lu. No matter what the reason is, I've already decided on this matter. Being rejected in such a serious manner, Patriarch Chiao's expression didn't look too good. He looked at his son, who was standing in a daze in front of Yi Qing Luo, with a feeling of resentment towards him for failing to meet his expectations. Following that, he walked over in big strides. He patted his palm on Chiao Yinyan's shoulder, using his eyes to signal. Following that, he stared at Yi Qing Luo. Young lass, you decide for yourself. Chiao Yinyan frowned. Father. Shut up, don't talk. Patriarch Chiao stared at him angrily and looked at Yi Qing Luo. Young lady, look, you and my boy's age match, and you can chat well. Staying in the Chiao family, giving both of you a chance to understand each other, isn't that good? Yi Qing Luo. Why did he feel that Patriarch Chiao was matchmaking his son? Father. Chiao Yinyan helplessly called out Patriarch Chiao as he looked at Yi Qing Luo guiltily. Yi Qing Luo. Indeed, his feeling wasn't wrong. Even Chiao Yinyan himself felt the same. No wonder Patriarch Chiao rushed over, not standing on Chiao Yilu's side, treating her in various ways, but trying every possible way to bring her back to the Chiao family. He had actually treated her as his future daughter-in-law. Looking at Patriarch Chiao, pretending to be serious, but in actual fact his eyes were sparkling. Yi Qing Luo secretly broke out in cold sweat. Chiao Yinyan was so outstanding, and his looks were stunning and peerless. Didn't the citizens say that he was the marriage partner of numerous ladies? Why did he only see her for the first time? Patriarch Chiao couldn't wait to bring her back home. Couldn't wait to push his own son into her arms. One must know that her current image was totally a beggar. Was this her biological father? Yi Qing Luo coughed lightly. I intend to stay over at the treasure gathering. When she said that, the faces of Patriarch Chiao and City Lord Lu changed. Miss, the treasure gathering has not had any guests for many years. I'm afraid it's extremely shabby. It's better to bring it to the Lu residence. City Lord Lu was anxious. Yi Qing Luo waved her hand. To tell the truth, towards you and Mysterious Fairy, I don't trust them at all. It's better to stay at the treasure gathering exchange and keep an eye on them at all times before I can be at ease. City Lord Lu's face was ashen. Patriarch Chiao took a look at City Lord Lu and didn't continue to persuade Yi Qing Luo. To be honest, he knew City Lord Lu too well. He also didn't believe that City Lord Lu wouldn't secretly do something. There were seniors from the underworld palace, following Yi Qing Luo to guard the place. City Lord Lu was still somewhat fearful. "Thank you for your kind intentions." Yi Qing Luo cupped her hands in greeting and turned around. "Boss Pei, please lead the way." Pei Sheng stood there in a daze for a long time before he immediately said, Coming. This time, the two of them had a smooth journey. How could it not go smoothly? Behind the two of them stood Old Lai with a strong aura. When everyone saw this, they couldn't help but move to the sides. Treasure Gathering Exchange. Yi Qing Luo stood at the entrance of the Treasure Gathering Exchange, looking at this inconspicuous shop in front of her, which totally looked like an invisible shop on the street. Yi Qing Luo. In her mind, she recalled the high-class atmosphere and grade of Zhongcheng Exchange. Chapter 3520. Exchange Hall was a place where items were traded and auctioned off. The appearance was especially important. Try asking you took a treasure and walked to the exchange hall to conduct an auction or trade. It was a splendid and majestic trading house that looked extremely formal, and a shabby-looking trading hall which looked like a black shop. Which trading hall would you choose? Who dared to pass the treasure to a black shop? Looking at Yi Qing Luo, staring at the treasure gathering trading hall with a dazed expression, Pei Sheng lowered his head in embarrassment as he spoke softly, so sorry, because for so many years the trading hall has never had any business. It's all because of my little sister, Zishi, refining medicinal pills, using her own name to secretly sell them outside. That's why the treasure gathering trading hall is open daily. The more he spoke, the softer his voice became. His face was filled with an embarrassed expression. Yi Qing Luo coughed lightly, realizing that her attitude had hurt Pei Sheng's pride. She turned her head sideways. I don't have any intention to despise it, but as an exchange hall, this is indeed too small. Pei Sheng was getting more and more embarrassed. The medicinal pills that Zishi refined can only cover our expenses, and the exchange of new items for the treasure gathering trading hall. So I changed the shop front, and in the end there's only these. Yi Qing Luo lifted her foot and stepped into the main door. This exchange hall was indeed a little too small. The main hall and the inner room added up was probably around 40 over square meters. But from the outside, the treasure gathering trading hall looked dull and unremarkable. But after walking in, the entire shop was filled with a refreshing fragrance. Yi Qing Luo sniffed and knew. This was a kind of fragrance which could relieve fatigue and soothe the emotions of the body and mind. Moreover, the entire place in the exchange hall was clean and tidy. From the inside, it looks like an exchange hall. Yi Qing Luo nodded. Pei Sheng's hands clenched as he nervously pinched his own hands. I know this kind of treasure gathering will not make you have any thoughts of cooperating. But please believe me, I will definitely not let you down. He knew that this was his last chance. He must grab hold of this chance firmly. I've already set a bet with Mysterious Maiden because I believe in you. Yi Qing Luo smiled. Since I've said it before, I will let the treasures get the honor of the best trading house. Then I will definitely do it. Pei Sheng nodded vigorously. However, before I work with you, your appearance and whatnot must be modified. Yi Qing Luo was saying that as she walked out of the exchange hall. Her pale hand rested on her chin. She raised her head and looked around the trading hall. There were many onlookers around. They were all curious about the treasure exchange hall that had been at the bottom for 4 consecutive years. Without the help of the underworld palace, how were they going to turn things around and compete with the Sincerity Trading House for the honor of being the best trading house? Yi Qing Luo pretended that she didn't see anything as she asked Pei Sheng, "Now, other than you and your sister, is there anyone else in the treasure house?" No more. Pei Sheng shook his head. Yi Qing Luo pursed her lips and pondered for a moment. Then he said, "You said that your little sister knows alchemy? Is it medicine master? Yes. Pei Xing's eyes lit up when he mentioned his little sister. She's a pharmacist. What a talented apothecary. Chapter 35:21. Alchemists wanted to improve and break through. They could only desperately refine medicinal pills to raise their proficiency in order to upgrade their alchemist level. As for refining medicinal pills, it required a lot of time and energy, especially the medicinal herbs based on Pei Xing's financial situation. His little sister indeed did not have enough medicinal herbs to raise her proficiency in alchemy. Her innate talent is not bad. Then does she know about medicinal herbs? Yi Qing Luo touched her chin. Pei Xing nodded vigorously. Yes. The medicinal pills she refined were all picked by herself at the periphery of the West Cliff Mountain. West Cliff Mountain. Old Lai, who had been standing by the side without saying a word, suddenly said, Lad, to let your little sister go to the West Cliff Mountain alone for the sake of the exchange hall and the family's livelihood. As her brother, aren't you too useless? Pei Xing's face instantly turned red. He lowered his head and clenched his fists tightly. Yi Qing Luo stared at Old Lai. Old Lai was stunned by the stare. The West Cliff Mountain is the most dangerous mountain in Without Embroiling City. Magical beasts and mirage beasts crawl everywhere, and there are a lot of mercenary groups doing missions there. He let a young lady go to the West Cliff Mountain to pick medicinal herbs. Isn't this? Bam! Yi Qing Luo patted Old Lai's shoulder and whispered, Stop talking! Old Lai's mouth moved and stopped his voice. Yi Qing Luo looked at Old Lai. Her heart was a little surprised. She really didn't understand why the people from the Hell Palace would help her. Moreover, it seemed that her attitude towards her words was obedient. Was it because they knew she was DMO Xian's wife? They wanted to please her to please DMO Xian? Forget it. No matter what reason Old Lai had. Anyway, Old Lai was at the treasure gathering. People like the Lu family and Xiao Yulu wouldn't dare to act rashly. Yi Qing Luo retracted her vision and looked at Pei Xing, whose face was flushed red as guilt was spreading. She raised her hand and patted Pei Xing's shoulder lightly. You are all trying to protect the treasure gathering. This is not wrong. If you really feel sorry for your little sister, then make yourself stronger to protect her. Pei Xing's body stiffened as she raised her head to look at her. Yi Qing Luo's lips curled as she smiled at him. This time, after obtaining the honor of the best trading house, whether you're able to grab hold of the opportunity to let her live a good life will depend on you. Pei Xing looked at Yi Qing Luo in a daze. There were ripples in his eyes. His eyes gradually reddened. He clenched his fists tightly, and his eyes were resolute. I will. So, call her back now. There are only 5 days left. We have to hurry up. Seeing him pick himself up, Yi Qing Luo loosened the hand on his shoulder. Pei Xing nodded, turned around and ran into the crowd. Taking advantage of this time, Yi Qing Luo went to the inner hall of the treasure gathering to tidy herself up. At the back of the inner hall, there were only 2 extremely narrow bedrooms. One was slightly bigger and the other was smaller. There was only a wooden bed, and it could only accommodate 1 person. The room was larger and looked more elegant. This should be Pei Xing's younger sister's room. Yi Qing Luo didn't stand on ceremony as she walked straight into the big room. When he saw the bronze mirror on the table, Yi Qing Luo finally understood why when those people saw her, they would treat her as a beggar. What the F***CK, wasn't he a little too pathetic? Her hair was like a chicken's nest, stained with mud. Chapter 35:22. Other than a pair of long and narrow eyes, which were extremely eye-catching in the mud and dirt. Messy hair, dirty face, tattered robe stained with all kinds of unknown filth, she looked like a beggar who had gone through hardships. He couldn't be any more embarrassed. Yi Qing Luo's current mood was, well, she could no longer use words to describe her feelings. Taking a deep breath, Yi Qing Luo asked Old Lai to get a few buckets of water. She took out the bathtub in the corner. Probably because Pei Sheng's sister was also a pharmacist. Everything in the room had been disinfected by medicinal herbs. Yi Qing Luo sprinkled some medicinal powder into the bathtub and disinfected it once again. She then closed the door and started to wash herself. Yi Qing Luo was still puzzled. What on earth was going on? What had happened in the upper realms passage? The minute she opened her eyes, she had become such a ghost. After washing for about 1 incense's time, Yi Qing Luo had already changed the water twice. The water in the bathtub finally became clearer. At this moment, light footsteps were heard outside the door, and a girl's clear voice was heard. "Miss, I'm Zixi." It was Pei Sheng's sister. The girl outside the door continued, "I've prepared a set of clothes for you. Although it was worn by me, but it has been washed very clean and has been deodorized by medicinal herbs. If Miss doesn't mind, you can wear this set of clothes first." The girl's voice was very pleasant and extremely melodious. Yi Qing Luo nodded. Sorry to trouble Mississippi, her words fell. A white fur kitten leaped out of the room. Outside the door, a girl's exclamation was heard. But seeing the kitten biting the clothes in her hands and running towards the room, she heaved a sigh of relief. Yi Qing Luo took the clothes from Chi-Chi's mouth. The light purple dress was extremely simple and elegant. Yi Qing Luo expressed that Zixi's taste was not bad, but Yi Qing Luo's fingers brushed past the dress on her. A strange look surfaced in her eyes. The material of this dress felt like it was not an ordinary material. It was definitely not a material that Pei Sheng's economic condition could afford. Yi Qing Luo kept away the deep thoughts in her heart, and after she put on her clothes, she wiped her wet long hair, until the ends of her hair were no longer dripping water. She then bent over and carried Chi-Chi. She was about to push the door and walk out, but after thinking about it, she took out a veil from the profound phoenix ring and covered half of her face. Then she walked out of the room. Outside the door stood a delicate and pretty woman. She wore an ice blue dress that was simple and close-fitting, which was very convenient for her movements. Her hair was simple and held in place by a wooden hairpin. The woman was still as beautiful as a butterfly that had spread its wings and was about to take flight. She was extremely intelligent and pretty. Their eyes met, and a sweet smile appeared on the corner of the woman's mouth. "Miss, do the clothes fit you?" Yi Qing Luo smiled at her. "It's very fitting. Thank you, Mississippi." She glanced at the woman imperceptibly. Lady Dress was of the material of quality. Above, Big Brother is waiting for Miss in the outer hall. Let's go over first. The lady's line of sight was fixed on Chi-Chi, who was in Yi Qing Luo's arms. "Is this little kitten your war pet?" Yi Qing Luo nodded. "Yes, very cute. Very well behaved. What breed is it?" They chatted as they walked towards the main hall. "Tiger beast, but in cub form." Yi Qing Luo rubbed Chi-Chi's head and didn't hide it. Chapter 35:23. After the two of them reached the main hall, Pei Sheng heard the voice and immediately raised his head as he was stunned on the spot. The young lady was dressed in a light purple long dress. Her brows were picturesque, a pair of long and narrow eyes were sparkling, as though she was the only light in the world. A head of wet black hair draped over her shoulders, and a few strands were stuck on her veil, which added a bit of irresistible charm, although half of the young lady's face was covered by the veil. But from that veil, one could faintly see the silhouette and her arrogant temperament. It made her look like a fairy from the 9 heavens, noble and elegant, unattainable. Even Lao Lai was dumbfounded. He had never seen Yi Qing Luo's real face. The last time at the Hell Palace, he didn't dare to seriously size up the young lady. But today, he had to admit, this young lady and the Overlord standing next to each other would absolutely not be inferior. Brother Sheng. The young lady walked to Pei Sheng's side, bit her lower lip, and pinched Pei Sheng's arm hard. Pei Sheng drew in a breath of cold air as he regained his senses, realizing that he had lost his composure earlier. He hurriedly apologized. "So sorry. I'm not." "No matter." Yi Qing Luo shook her head. "This shows that I have peerless beauty. Peerless." Pei Sheng. He admitted that she was indeed peerless, but was it really all right to say that about himself? "Miss, I heard from Brother Sheng about the bet between you and Princess Yulu. I'm here to thank you for being willing to help us gather treasures at this time." The young lady patted Pei Sheng's arm, indicating for him to take a seat. Then she looked at Yi Qing Luo in a neither servile nor overbearing manner, as her brows were filled with sincere gratitude. "As long as we can help to gather treasures, whatever Miss wants to do, Brother Sheng and I will fully cooperate." Yi Qing Luo nodded. "Boss Pei has already expressed his gratitude. What we need to do now is to make everyone interested in gathering treasures within 5 days. What does Miss want to do?" The young lady expressed her approval. "You two don't talk about girls anymore." Old Lai's head started to swell. "We still need to interact for a few more days. Don't tell me you intend to have one girl and one girl each." Pei Sheng hurriedly stood up as he frantically pulled the young lady over. "Sorry, I forgot to introduce my sister. This is my little sister, Gu Zishi." "This is—" Pei Sheng looked at her younger sister, but when the words were about to come out of her mouth, she pursed them. Till now, he still didn't know Yi Qing Luo's name. Yi Qing Luo stood up, the lips under the veil slightly hooked up. "My name is—" "Di Luo, you can call me Al Luo." "Di Luo," Pei Sheng muttered. "Lady Di, Yi Qing Luo raised her brows as she squinted at him. Gu Zishi, on the other hand, was more understanding. She walked forward with a smile, took her arm and called, "A Luo." Yi Qing Luo shot a glance at Pei Sheng. "See that, learn more from your sister." She paused as if she had thought of something. She looked at the two of them in confusion. "Wait, isn't your surname Pei? Why is Zishi surnamed Gu?" "I was picked up by Brother Sheng. We call each other brother and sister, and we depend on each other." Gu Zishi looked very calm. Yi Qing Luo nodded meaningfully. No wonder she felt that there was a different atmosphere between the two of them. They weren't biological siblings. Yi Qing Luo's long and narrow eyes curved slightly. Chapter 35-24. In order to change the topic, Gu Zishi's gaze intentionally lingered on Yi Qing Luo's face. "Ah, Luo, this is the Treasures Exchange Hall. Why do you still need to cover your face with a veil?" "It's a sin to be too beautiful." Yi Qing Luo put on a serious look. "To prevent mysterious maiden from seeing my peerless beauty, from being jealous and doing something rash. That would be terrible." "Ah, Luo, you're really narcissistic." Gu Zishi was speechless. Yi Qing Luo sighed helplessly. "I'm also very helpless about a natural-born beauty." After a few more words of banter, the relationship between the few of them had pulled closer by quite a bit. Regarding to let the Treasures Exchange Hall return to the eyes of the public within 5 days, do you have any thoughts? After pulling closer, Yi Qing Luo went straight to the main topic. Pei Sheng's gaze instantly turned serious when he mentioned the Treasures Exchange Hall. He looked at Yi Qing Luo. "You should understand the situation of the Treasures Exchange Hall. Basically, the matter 5 years ago had already caused the Treasures Exchange Hall to lose the hearts of the people. To let them choose the Treasures Exchange Hall again, I'm afraid it will be very difficult. Today's matter has already taken the first step, isn't it?" Yi Qing Luo's lips curled as her gaze shot outside the door. The entrance of the Treasures Exchange Hall was already surrounded by many citizens who were watching the bustle. Discussions were everywhere, and it was extremely lively, although those citizens had not taken a step into the Treasures Exchange Hall. However, when he heard the voices and discussions, he knew that he had already made great progress. After all, the Treasures Exchange Hall had not had such a lively scene for a long time. Today at the entrance of Zhongcheng Exchange Hall, because of Qiao Yulu's relationship, basically most of the citizens had gathered over. And because of the bet, the various citizens had definitely remembered the name of the Treasures Exchange Hall. No matter when, everyone's potential would always be hidden with the nature of gossip. The citizens were filled with curiosity as to how Treasure Gathering had defeated Zhongqing and obtained the honor of being the best trading house. No matter what the citizens are concerned about, as long as the point they are concerned about is the Treasures Exchange Hall, this is considered a success. Yiqing Luo retracted her gaze as she walked to the chair by the side and sat down, placing Chi-Chi on her lap. Chi-Chi was like a little kitten, lazily curled up on Yiqing Luo's lap, closing her eyes with a contented posture. It really did look like a pet. Gu Zixi gaze lingered on Chi-Chi for a moment. Following that, his gaze shifted to Yiqing Luo's face as he asked, but during the auction, various large trading houses compete on the total number of crystal stones successfully traded during the duration of the auction in order to obtain the honor of the best trading house. She paused for a moment before continuing. Under the premise that we can't let the Hell Palace interfere, what items should we auction in the auction to be confident? When Yiqing Luo heard that, she couldn't help but shifted her gaze onto Gu Zixi. To be honest, from the moment they met until now, Yiqing Luo felt that this Gu Zixi totally didn't look like someone who was picked up and brought home, relying on pill refining to maintain the daily business of the treasure gathering. On the contrary, judging from her temperament, her conversation, and her understanding of the matter, it was obvious that she was a good girl. Yiqing Luo felt that this lady was absolutely not simple. At the very least, it was definitely not as simple as Pei Xing said. However, from Gu Zixi, Yiqing Luo didn't sense any malicious intent. Did I say something wrong? Why are you looking at me like that? Gu Zixi felt goosebumps from Yiqing Luo's stare. Chapter 35:25. Gu Zixi. Was there a need to use such a complicated expression to guess her master level? Master level. Under Yiqing Luo's gaze, Gu Zixi revealed her own level. You still can't break through to Grandmaster level. Yiqing Luo's fair fingers pressed against her chin. Gu Zixi shook her head. I'm not used to it yet. I need an opportunity. Yiqing Luo pursed her lips as her eyes drooped in deep thoughts. On the other hand, Pei Sheng looked at Yiqing Luo in shock. Very few people could persevere in the profession of master, not to mention the long time required. It also required a large amount of financial and material resources, especially when there was a high failure rate. So if a master-level master were to spread it out, there would definitely be numerous forces fighting for it. Pei Sheng had always been proud of Gu Zixi as a master, but he didn't expect Yiqing Luo actually despised it. That's right, despised. That tone was filled with despise. Noticing Pei Sheng's agitated emotions, Yiqing Luo glanced over. Tiesa, was he a protective maniac, or was it because of some other reason? I don't have any other meaning by asking this. Yiqing Luo took out a folded piece of paper from the profound phoenix ring and passed it to Gu Zixi. Since you don't have any ideas about what you want to auction in the auction, I have an idea here. Gu Zixi took the paper and opened it. The expression on her face instantly turned serious and solemn. His eyes also gradually lit up. She kept the paper in her hand. Where did you get the formula from? How? How could there be such a formula? Follow the formula and buy the commonly used medicinal herbs in the most low-profile way. As for the main medicinal herbs, I'll have to trouble you to collect them from the West Cliff Mountain. Yiqing Luo didn't answer the source of the formula. It's best to bring back a batch of medicinal herbs and try to refine a small bottle tomorrow to advertise. Tomorrow? Gu Zixi opened the prescription in her hand and looked at it again. How is that possible? You're in charge of finding the medicinal herbs. I'll do the rest. Yiqing Luo smiled. If tomorrow's advertising is successful, we'll definitely get the best trading house's honor. Gu Zishi was stunned as her pupils enlarged. You're also a master? Yi Qing Luo nodded with a smile. Gu Zishi took a deep breath and gripped the prescription in her hand tightly. She didn't ask about Yi Qing Luo's alchemist grade. She could tell that Yi Qing Luo's level was absolutely above hers. All right, I understand. I will definitely bring back enough medicinal ingredients to make a bottle of it before 11 p.m. today. Gu Zishi put away the recipe. It's very dangerous over at West Cliff Mountain. Let Old Lai go over to protect you. Yi Qing Luo looked at Old Lai, who was dozing off by the side. Anyway, he has nothing better to do. Gu Zishi's expression changed slightly. No, there's no need. I'm very familiar with Xia Mountain. Nothing will happen. If you don't let Old Lai follow you, Ah Sheng will worry about you. Yi Qing Luo took a look at Pei Sheng. Don't worry. Old Lai won't keep following you around. I have other matters to attend to, and would like to trouble him to make a trip to the West Cliff Mountain. Gu Zishi hesitated for a moment. Okay, I understand. The two of them had already decided on the future of the Gathering Treasures Exchange. Pei Sheng was a little dazed. Zishi, what exactly is the formula that Aluo gave you? Gu Zishi's lively eyes curved. Her little body half sprawled on the coffee table, both hands supporting her chin as she looked at Pei Sheng playfully. Chapter 35:26. Pei Sheng couldn't get an answer, so Gu Zishi and Old Lai had already left the treasure gathering. Pei Sheng could only shift his gaze towards Yi Qing Luo before he could even open his mouth to ask. Yi Qing Luo clapped her hands and carried Chi as she stood up. All right, let's start. Start what? Pei Sheng looked at Yi Qing Luo in a daze. Yi Qing Luo walked straight out of the entrance of the treasure gathering. Of course! To transform the treasure gathering. When the young lady walked to the entrance, she even turned her head and looked at him with a smile. As she retreated, she smiled and said, You're right. Her eyes were filled with a crafty smile. Her veil fluttered like a fairy descending to earth. Even though Pei Sheng had already been stunned by Yi Qing Luo, at this moment he was dazzled by the young lady's smile. Of course, it couldn't be said that he had any evil thoughts towards Yi Qing Luo. But humans were visual animals. All of their reactions were the most instinctive reactions to the visual feast in front of them. When a man dressed in a black robe with an elegant demeanor arrived at the entrance of the treasure gathering exchange hall, what he saw was this scene. The young lady was dressed in a simple and elegant light purple long dress, which accentuated the young lady's petite figure. The purple dress followed the young lady's footsteps. Like a blooming purple rose, it dyed the entire pupil. Yi Qing Luo acutely sensed someone approaching from behind. Her retreating footsteps immediately halted. She could almost smell the scent of the person behind her. After Yi Qing Luo halted her footsteps, she speedily turned around and retreated 2 steps. The moment she turned around, the white veil fluttered with the wind, faintly revealing half of her smooth lower jaw. The contour was soft and beautiful, her lips pink and tender. The man stood there in a daze, his eyes fixated on Yi Qing Luo, not moving for a long time. After Yi Qing Luo retreated a few steps, she saw the man's face clearly. Her pink lips pursed. Eldest young Master Qiao. This man, wasn't he Qiao Yinyan? Pei Sheng also saw Qiao Yinyan and hurriedly ran out from the treasure-gathering exchange hall. Eldest young Master Qiao, why are you here? Hearing Pei Sheng's male voice, Qiao Yinyan's eyes, which were staring at Yi Qing Luo without blinking, finally had some fluctuations. His eyelashes trembled. Miss, is eldest young Master Qiao here on behalf of Mysterious Fairy to test if treasure gathering has the ability to gain glory in the auction? Yi Qing Luo asked with a smile. Qiao Yinyan's handsome face immediately tensed up. No, I'm definitely not helping Princess Yu Lu search for the treasure. He lowered his head in embarrassment. I want to help. Looking at Qiao Yinyan's anxious expression, Yi Qing Luo couldn't help but laugh out loud. I'm just joking. In front of Qiao Yilu, Qiao Yinyan had never spoken up for her. Of course, it was impossible for him to help Qiao Yilu and come over to investigate the situation of the treasure gathering. Furthermore, everyone in Without Embroiling City knew what the treasure's gathering hall looked like. There was no need to probe the situation at all. However, from what she could see, Qiao Yilu would definitely send someone to investigate her identity. Looked like she needed Old Lie's help to get her an identity in the Hell Palace. Although I've made a verbal promise with Mysterious Fairy that I will absolutely not allow anyone from the Hell Palace to help, but I don't swindle any treasures from eldest young Master Qiao and put it up for auction, just to let eldest young Master Qiao use some physical strength, so it shouldn't be against the rules, right? Yi Qing Luo looked at Qiao Yinyan smilingly. In her long and narrow eyes, there was an obvious teasing smile. Chapter 35:27. However, Qiao Yinyan still agreed without hesitation. Yi Qing Luo brought the two of them and started to discuss the exterior design of the treasure house. If they wanted to renovate it, there was not enough time. So they could only choose to fiddle with the small details, making some changes to make the treasure exchange hall not look so shabby, not like an unlicensed black shop. The entire afternoon, until evening, Yi Qing Luo and the other two were busy. More and more citizens came over to watch, but they didn't disturb the three of them. Yi Qing Luo didn't bother about them. To tell the truth, it wasn't a bad thing to have the citizens watching. This was a bunch of free publicity staff. And Gu Zishi and Old Lai had not returned yet. They were busy all the way till 9 o'clock, which was around 9 o'clock at night, when Yi Qing Luo called for the two of them to stop and rest. Pei Sheng and Qiao Yinyan were sweating profusely as they slumped on the chair, panting heavily. For the entire day, they were indeed doing physical labor. He wasn't carrying them around, but leaping onto roofs and vaulting over walls, installing this and that, and using profound energy to turn into a blade, chopping firewood, chopping wood, carving various exquisite designs. When the citizens saw this scene, their hearts were bleeding. One must know, Qiao Yinyan was a talented youngster in Without Embroiling City. He had never made a move easily. Now he was reduced to using profound energy, chopping firewood, chopping wood, carving flowers. This was simply a waste of God's gift. The key was their eldest young Master Qiao was doing these degrading things. Yet he was doing it happily. The citizens, could it be that their eldest young Master Qiao had taken a liking to this mysterious and arrogant young lady? In the treasure exchange hall, Yi Qing Luo saw their exhausted looks and went into the inner room to prepare a meal for them. He saw Yi Qing Luo's figure disappearing at the door. Pei Sheng raised his hand and wiped off the sweat on his forehead, but his peripheral vision kept glancing at Qiao Yinyan. Qiao Yinyan's perception was high, so he naturally felt the gaze which was constantly shooting over. He drank a cup of tea and met Pei Sheng's gaze. Why does brother Pei keep looking at me? I want to ask you a question. Pei Sheng put down his hand, turned his body, and looked at him seriously. Brother Pei, please ask away. Qiao Yinyan put down his teacup. His slender fingers had distinct joints, which made him look very attractive. Pei Sheng's lips twitched as he stared at Qiao Yinyan for a long time. Finally, he stammered, did you... Luo. Brother Pei likes Luo? Qiao Yinyan's eyes were filled with a smile. He leaned forward slightly and looked into Pei Sheng's eyes. He leaned forward. Some of Qiao Yinyan's silver hair fell to the ground. His handsome face was even more incomparably handsome. Pei Sheng's cheeks immediately turned red. It was unknown whether it was because of Qiao Yinyan's words or because of Qiao Yinyan's handsome appearance. I don't have that kind of feeling for Ah Luo. He shook his head and explained with a red face, Ah Luo is my benefactor. I am very grateful to Ah Luo. Xiao Yinyan narrowed his eyes and leaned back in his chair. He didn't answer Pei Sheng's question. Although Pei Sheng was shy, she did not forget her purpose. She looked at him and asked again, What about you? Do you like Ah Luo? Xiao Yinyan only curled his thin lips as he smiled but didn't reply. Was this like or not like? Towards this kind of emotion, Pei Sheng didn't know how to differentiate. Chapter 35:28. At this time, there was a hubbub outside the entrance of the Treasures Exchange Hall. Since today's bet, outside the Treasures Exchange Hall, there had been endless discussions and noises. But the hubbub this time was obviously not small. Xiao Yinyan frowned and was about to get up. Pei Sheng had already stood up. You continue to rest. I'll go take a look. As he said this, he walked out of the Treasures Exchange Hall. Outside the Treasures Exchange Hall, the citizens who were originally gathered together had now split into two sides. And standing in the middle of the citizens was Qiao Yilu, who was like the moon surrounded by stars. The woman's petite figure was no longer as graceful and luxurious as before, but was dressed like the daughter of an aristocratic family. She wore a white dress, a white veil covering her face, and her temperament was like an orchid. Just looking at her like this, she was indeed an extremely pleasing beauty. At this time, Qiao Yilu was staring at the Treasures Exchange Hall with an ugly expression. After a few hours of busy work by the three of them, the outer appearance of the Treasures Gathering Hall had undergone a tremendous change from its previous appearance that was gray and inconspicuous, like an illegal shop that operated without a license. Qiao Yilu's white fingers clenched tightly into fists. The Treasures Exchange Hall in front of them, although it was very small. But no matter which corner, which line of sight looked over, they all felt this was an extremely grand and high-class Treasures Exchange Hall. The surroundings of the Treasures Exchange Hall, after some detailed treatment as well as some exquisite decorations, had completely changed the overall aura of the Treasures Exchange Hall. Especially on the two sides of the Treasures Exchange Hall, there were two extremely beautiful beast-shaped stone statues, looking like Qilins, under the illumination of the two red lanterns hanging above the entrance. The stone statues seemed to be plated with a layer of bright, glazed light. It could be said that the current Treasures Exchange Hall, in terms of appearance, it was definitely not inferior to the Sincerity Exchange Hall. Sister Yilu. Yu Jiwen, who was at the side, stared at the Treasures Exchange Hall with an unfriendly expression, a sense of danger surging in her heart. Qiao Yilu's expression was dark, her sharp gaze shooting straight at Pei Sheng, who had walked out of the Treasures Exchange Hall. She raised her hand, and an invisible force shot straight at Pei Sheng's face. That strength was extremely ruthless, and there was no mercy at all. Pei Sheng's eyes widened, completely not expecting Qiao Yilu to suddenly attack. He was so shocked that he wanted to avoid it. However, Qiao Yilu's profound rank was above him, and her attacks were swift and fierce. He had no time to dodge. Bang! The sharp blade sliced through the air and emitted an explosive sound. Pei Sheng's tightly shut eyes suddenly opened. His face was filled with shock. He's okay? Pei Sheng didn't feel any pain. He raised his head and saw that a figure had appeared in front of him. Her silver hair fluttered gently in the wind. His black robe spread out like ink. Brother Qiao. Pei Sheng was shocked, and his voice trembled slightly. How did you? It was Qiao Yinyan who had rushed in front of him and blocked Qiao Yilu's attack. Big brother. When Qiao Yilu saw that the person who blocked her attack was Qiao Yinyan, her expression darkened even more. You're really here? Qiao Yinyan frowned. What are you doing here? Treasure gathering violated the bet between me and that bitch. Qiao Yilu said coldly, as the boss of treasure gathering, he must be punished. Qiao Yinyan raised his hand and blocked in front of Pei Sheng. What nonsense are you talking about? I've been in the Treasurer's Exchange Hall all this time. How come I don't know what bet treasure gathering violated?